In the beginning, long before our first steps beyond home, we looked up with wonder. For countless generations, the night sky was a canvas of mysteries, twinkling lights that rose and set, the pale glow of our moon, the bright beacon of the morning star. In those early days, beneath the dark expanse, our ancestors whispered stories of gods and heroes in the stars. They felt small beneath the celestial dome, and yet they dreamed of touching those distant lights. Their dreams lingered through the ages, a quiet yearning carried like embers through the long night of history. At last, dawn approached. We learned to shape fire and metal to defy gravity's pull. In the mid-20th century, a faint rumble announced the birth of a new era. A rocket tore through blue skies into the silent black, carrying our hopes with it. The first satellites circled the Earth like newborn moons, sending back whispers of data. In those moments, humanity opened its eyes to the cosmos with tools of our own making. We stood at the threshold of an infinite frontier, trembling between awe and fear, ready to step across. For the first time, human eyes watched Earth shrink into a glowing orb against the blackness. As pioneers floated above the atmosphere, they saw the world without borders. A fragile blue marble swirled with white clouds. In that weightless silence, a profound realization dawned. All that we are, all we have ever known, lives on a tiny oasis, adrift in the vastness. This awakening stirred something deep within us. It was as if we had been blind to our own garden until we left it and looked back from afar. Then came the moment when human footsteps touched alien soil for the first time. On our moon's barren plains, we left bootprints in grey dust that will outlast us all, untouched by wind or rain for millions of years. As the Earth hung in the pitch-black lunar sky, we realized how far we had come from our cradle. In the eerie stillness, our voices crackled across 250,000 miles of emptiness to declare a giant leap. It was not just one nation or one person, but humanity itself, taking its first tentative steps into a larger universe. In the years that followed, orbit became our first foothold in the heavens. Nations set aside their differences to build a home in the sky, a place where day and night cycle every 90 minutes, where sunrise chases sunset across curved horizons. Aboard those early space stations, we learned to live without gravity's embrace. Plants sprouted in tiny capsules, and children's laughter echoed in recordings sent from orbit. Each small success in space taught us that we could adapt, that we belonged not just to one planet, but to the cosmos itself. As the decades passed, we sent mechanical envoys to worlds we could not yet visit ourselves, extending our reach across the solar system. Automated landers touched down on Venus and Mars, offering our first fleeting taste of alien soil. Roving machines rolled across Martian plains under a salmon-pink sky, while others sailed past Jupiter's swirling storms and skimmed the rings of Saturn. Each probe beamed back new wonders, a panorama of rust-red deserts, the whisper of wind on another world, the gleam of ice on a distant moon. These glimpses deepened our curiosity. Through robotic eyes and ears, we began to know our celestial neighbours, setting the stage for journeys yet to come. A new generation grew up with these wonders. Children sat in darkened rooms, eyes wide at images of real alien landscapes on their screens. They watched rovers crawl over Martian rocks and clouds swirl on Jupiter, and in their hearts a wild hope took shape. The cosmos was no longer just a distant dream. It felt within reach. Around the world, young minds imagined themselves among the stars. They sketched rockets in notebooks and traced constellations at night, believing that someday they too might step onto those far-off shores. The yearning that had smouldered for ages now burned brightly in countless souls, driving humanity onward. To turn those dreams into reality, we pushed our technology further than ever. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to solve the challenges of living and traveling far from Earth. We learned how to grow food in weightlessness and recycle every breath of air and drop of water in closed-loop systems. We developed engines that could carry us to Mars in weeks instead of months. Some harnessed the power of the atom, while others unfurled delicate solar sails to ride the light of the sun. Bit by bit, we built the ships that would carry us across the void. With each innovation, the impossible seemed a little more attainable. The cradle of Earth was preparing to let its children go. And so, the celestial age truly dawned. Our species had begun to slip the bonds of its birthplace. No longer mere observers, we had become participants in the cosmic story. We sensed that the sky which had once imprisoned us now invited us onward. The journey was only beginning. With the first footprints beyond Earth, we became voyagers from the blue planet, carrying the dreams of our world into the unknown darkness ahead. Leaving Earth was both an ending and a beginning. As the great engines roared and the ground fell away, we felt a bittersweet tug, part excitement, part heartache. We were leaving the only home we had ever known for the promise of worlds unseen. Through the small windows of our vessel, continents shrank and oceans merged into a single glowing sphere. The sky faded from brilliant blue to the black of space as we pierced the atmosphere. In that quiet moment of ascent, each of us understood the gravity of departure, a chapter of life closing behind us, and a new one unfolding among the stars. Within hours, Earth was just a radiant disk in the distance. City lights and familiar landscapes faded into a gentle azure halo against the darkness. The moon, once our farthest outpost, now lay behind us as another stepping stone passed in our wake. We watched our planet dwindle until it became a pale blue star lost among the countless others. In that profound silence, a solemn realization grew in our hearts. We were truly alone now, a handful of souls cast into the cosmic sea, guided only by the faint beacon of home. The days aboard the ship settled into a gentle routine. With Earth's gravity gone, we floated freely from module to module, every movement slow and deliberate. In the corner of our habitat, a few seeds from Earth had blossomed into a tiny green garden. We tended those plants carefully each day, taking comfort in the soft leaves and the familiar scent of living soil, a little piece of home carried among the stars. Through our viewport, the sun burned smaller and whiter than before, and the stars beyond no longer twinkled. They shone steady and unwavering, like pinpoints of cold fire on a velvet backdrop. In the calm of space, time itself felt different. We measured days not by any sunrise, but by the steady rhythms of our ship and bodies. For a while, the voice of home still reached us clearly. We sent messages and received replies from Earth. But as the distance grew, each greeting took longer to arrive. A simple hello from loved ones travelled many minutes across the void before warming our ears. This delay became a constant reminder of how far we had ventured. We treasured those voices from home like precious echoes across an expanding gulf. Each recording of laughter or endearment was a comfort and a pang, reminding us of a world growing ever more distant. In time, even news from Earth felt like postcards from the past, as we slipped further into the future alone. Some of the most profound moments came during our excursions outside the ship. On a routine spacewalk to inspect a solar panel, we drifted in the cosmic void, with only our suits separating us from eternity. We paused in our work to marvel at the sight, our small ship shining in sunlight against the backdrop of endless stars, and the distant blue dot of Earth barely visible far behind. No atmosphere meant utter silence. Only the sound of our own breathing echoed in our helmets. In that stillness, suspended between a tiny vessel and infinity, we felt both indescribably small and yet deeply connected to everything. Moments like this reminded us why we dared to voyage, to experience the awe of existence up close, to become a part of the universe looking back at itself. Yet we were not the first voyagers to leave the cradle. Decades before, we had hurled small, silent ambassadors into the great beyond. Among them were the twin Voyager probes, each bearing a golden record of Earth's music, languages, and even the songs of whales. Our message in a bottle cast to the cosmic ocean. Those robotic explorers sailed past the giant planets and into the darkness, long before any human would follow. By now, they were tens of billions of miles away, their faint signals only a whisper. Knowing that pieces of our world had preceded us into deep space gave us comfort and perspective. In the silent void, we often thought of those tiny spacecraft, still drifting endlessly with their greetings from home, blazing a trail of imagination that we now dared to walk in reality. Week by week, a dim red star ahead grew brighter and larger. Mars, the wanderer of old, was beckoning us onward. What once was a tiny ruddy dot in our window became a discernible world, with polar caps of white frost and vast ochre deserts. We could even see patches of cinnamon-hued dust storms swirling in its thin atmosphere. As we neared our destination, our hearts swelled with anticipation and a touch of anxiety. We went over our landing plans in meticulous detail and whispered hopeful wishes into the quiet of the cabin. After months of coasting through millions of miles of emptiness, we were finally approaching a new horizon. The rusty planet grew to fill our view, and we knew that soon we would trade the confines of our ship for the open landscapes of Mars. For the first time, the curvature of an alien world filled our window. Mars's horizon, soft and golden in the sunlight, rose up to meet us as our ship slipped into orbit. We peered down at canyons and extinct volcanoes, features we had only known from photographs, now right there beneath us. The sun was already dipping low, casting long blue-tinted shadows over the Martian surface. In orbit, we took a moment to marvel. Just above the ruddy globe, two tiny moons, Phobos and Deimos, chased each other in rapid circles. It struck us how different this sky was. Two swift moonlets racing across a salmon sky, and beyond them, the black of space. In the silence of our spacecraft, one thought echoed through each of us. Soon, human feet would touch that soil. We prepared to descend, knowing that the next dawn we saw would be from the ground of Mars itself. Our spacecraft trembled as it cut into Mars's thin atmosphere, surrounded by a hot sheath of plasma. Through small windows, we glimpsed the sky turning from black to hazy orange. A parachute blossomed above us, and for a few moments we drifted, suspended beneath an alien sky. Finally, Rockets fired, kicking up red dust as we touched down gently on Martian soil. After a breathless silence, we knew we had arrived. Slowly, the hatch opened to a world no human had ever walked. A soft amber light greeted us as the Martian dawn broke over the landing site. Stepping down the ladder, we left the first human footprints in the ochre soil, each step easier and higher in Mars's gentle gravity. The air was cold and thin against our suits. Our voices sounded muffled and strange as we exchanged quiet words of wonder. All around us stretched an ancient desert of rust-coloured sand and dark boulders under a butterscotch sky. In that moment, the dreams of countless generations became real beneath our boots. We had become Martians, if only for a while, standing on a new world and gazing up at an alien sun. The landscape was both familiar and alien. Ridges of jagged rock cast long morning shadows, and a great dusty plain extended toward a distant range of hills. Far on the horizon, a faint bluish outline hinted at the massive volcano Olympus Mons, rising beyond the curve of the planet. We moved carefully across the sand, our movements slow and bouncing in the lower gravity. Each footstep stirred a small puff of red dust that hung in the thin air before gently falling back. The horizon here was closer and visibly curved, reminding us that this world was smaller than Earth. In every direction, the terrain told a story of ages long past. Dry riverbeds etched the ground beneath our feet, and pebbles rounded by ancient water lay scattered, silent evidence that Mars was once alive with flowing streams. We were explorers on a shore long since abandoned by its ocean, reading the history of Mars, written in stone and dust. As we set out from our lander, we came across a poignant relic of human exploration. A small rover, long dormant, half buried in red sand. Years before we arrived, this robot had trundled across these plains on our behalf, a lone scout in the wilderness with only mechanical eyes. Now here it was, resting where the last dust storm had left it, its once bright panels dimmed and its camera eye gazing blankly at the sky. We approached reverently and brushed the fine crimson powder off its surface. For a moment, it felt like greeting an old friend who had been waiting patiently for us on this distant world. We placed a hand on its antenna, as if to thank it. In the thin Martian breeze, little more than a whispered breath, we imagined we could hear a reply in the form of a faint radio memory. The rover's journey had not been in vain. Humanity had finally come to join it, turning its solitude into a celebrated reunion. Over the next days, we established our foothold on Mars. We raised a dome-like habitat and unfurled solar panels that glinted in the pale sunlight. Inside our pressurized living module, we removed our helmets and inhaled the first breath of habitat air on Mars, a mix of oxygen and the faint scent of metal and recycled water. Outside, we set up experiments to read the planet's secrets. We placed sensors to monitor the thin breeze and catch whiffs of ancient Martian air, and we drilled into the soil to collect samples that might contain traces of past life. Each task was carried out with purpose, yet we often paused to simply marvel at where we were. When the sun climbed high, the sky turned a yellowish tan, and the distant rocks wavered in slight haze. By late afternoon, the air grew colder and the light soft. We realized that even in its stillness, Mars was a world with rhythms, a silent, stark, but somehow comforting presence that began to feel like a new home. Our first sunset on Mars was unlike any we had seen. We climbed a small rise near our base to watch the evening. The sun, smaller and more distant than we remembered, sank toward the horizon, painting the dusty sky in hues of amber, gold, and an uncanny blue around the sun's disk. In the fading light, we saw a tiny point of light emerge above the western horizon. Earth, our home, shining as the brightest star in the Martian twilight. We stood together in quiet awe, each of us lost in thoughts of that distant world where day was breaking, even as night fell here. In the growing darkness, the two moons of Mars appeared. Phobos, racing across the sky like a swift shadow, and Deimos, a slower, fainter point trailing behind. The air grew still and frigid as the last light left the sky. Stars we knew well blinked into view, but now they had a new arrangement from this vantage point. We realized that for the first time, human beings were gazing at the constellations from the surface of another planet. As we settled in for our first night on Mars, the ground radiating the day's heat up into the chill, we felt a profound peace. Millions of miles from the place of our birth, we looked up at the same universe, and it felt both strange and wonderfully familiar. We spent many weeks on Mars, but our mission was never meant to end there. In time, our eyes turned again to the sky, to the bright dot of Jupiter that beckoned in the darkness beyond. When the day came to leave, we gathered a small capsule of Martian sand and a collection of samples, mementos of this world to carry with us. Boarding our ascent vehicle, we ignited the engines and rose from the red planet in a pillar of fire. Through the window, we watched the dusty plains fall away below, and the sky darken from butterscotch to black. Mars became a shrinking sphere beneath us, painted with the soft glow of its sunrise. In orbit, we rendezvoused with our interplanetary ship once more. As we departed, we took one last look at Mars, now a ruddy coin against the black, to imprint it in our memories. We knew we would forever be connected to that world. A part of human history now lay written in its sands. But beyond Mars, greater mysteries awaited. With the engines firing steadily, we set our course outward, toward the giant planet Jupiter and its enigmatic moon Europa, whispering in the cold beyond. Far beyond Mars, Jupiter grew from a bright star-like point into a dominating presence ahead. The journey through the asteroid belt and into the outer solar system lasted many months, during which the sun continued to shrink behind us. Finally, a new light began to command our view, a huge banded planet adorned with swirling stripes of cream, orange, and red. Jupiter loomed before us, a colossal sphere of storms, large enough to swallow 1,000 Earths. Even from a distance, we could see the great red spot, churning slowly like a timeless cyclone in the planet's atmosphere. Lightning lit up cloud tops in brief, silent flashes. As we drew nearer, we felt Jupiter's gravity tug at our ship, a gentle reminder of the giant's immense pull. Surrounded by a retinue of moons, Jupiter resembled a miniature solar system in its own right. It was breathtaking and intimidating all at once, majesty on a scale almost beyond comprehension. Among Jupiter's many moons, our focus was drawn to one small, bright sphere, Europa. From afar, it looked like a polished pearl, crisscrossed by brownish cracks. We slipped into orbit around Jupiter, and then gradually closed in on Europa itself. As we descended toward the icy moon, Jupiter hung huge in the sky above, casting a pale glow on Europa's frozen face. The landscape below was like a cracked window pane, endless plains of white ice fractured by long, shadowy lines where water from below had once oozed up and frozen solid. It was a world of silence and possibility, beautiful in its starkness. We prepared our landing craft and selected a smooth region near one of the major crack lines, a place where we hoped the ice was thinner. With a brief burn of rockets, we touched down on Europa, becoming the first humans on a moon of Jupiter. Landing on Europa was gentle but surreal. Our craft settled onto hard, glassy ground that glittered under our lights. We stepped outside onto a surface of ice as hard as stone, beneath a sky dominated by giant Jupiter looming overhead. There was no atmosphere to speak of, just a whisper of oxygen, so sound did not carry. The crunch of our boots on the ice was a vibration we felt rather than heard. A thin frost fog hung near the surface in places, shimmering. Everywhere we looked, the ground was a dazzling expanse of white, faintly blue, where the ice was pure, and streaked with ruddy mineral stains along the great cracks that ran to every horizon. Above, Jupiter's banded clouds covered a huge swath of sky, and nearby we could see two other Jovian moons as tiny disks. The scene was otherworldly and quietly overwhelming. We were standing on an ice world, with a gas giant's painted face watching over us in the sky. We quickly established a routine on Europa, mindful of the intense radiation that Jupiter's magnetic field was bathing the area in. Our lander and suits were heavily shielded, but we still limited our time outside. Without delay, we began deploying a drilling system. Our goal was audacious: to bore through miles of ice to reach the liquid water ocean scientists believed lay beneath. We positioned the drill at one of the dark fissures on the surface, hoping that spot would be slightly thinner. As the drill bit began to bite into the ice, we retreated to the safety of our lander's interior, venturing out only to check on progress and maintain the equipment. The drill worked slowly and steadily, melting its way down with a plume of steam that instantly froze into sparkling crystals around the borehole. Day and night on Europa were unlike those on Earth. Here, a day lasted about 3.5 Earth days. We watched as Jupiter rose and set during each of Europa's rotations, its reflection casting an eerie dim light across the frozen plains. Occasionally, a distant cracking sound would reverberate through our hull, the ice shifting under tidal stresses from Jupiter's pull. These were Europa's whispers, groans and creaks in the endless night, hinting at dynamic forces below. After days of labour, the drill suddenly broke through into empty space. Europa's ocean. A gush of water vapour burst upward and crystallised around the hole, confirming that we had reached the liquid below. Excitement and nervousness gripped us. We prepared our submersible probe, a small torpedo-shaped robotic explorer tethered to the surface by a fibre-optic cable. With careful precision, we lowered it down into the borehole until it plunged freely into Europa's hidden sea. For the first time, an object from Earth was swimming in the waters of an alien world. We were about to peer into a realm of perpetual darkness, untouched by sunlight for billions of years. Huddled around our monitors, we felt our hearts pounding. Would we find what we came for? Only the faint hum of our instruments answered, urging the submersible onward into the deep. The submersible's lights cut through the blackness, illuminating icy particulates drifting in the water. At first, our cameras revealed only a hazy greenish beam sliding over a dark, particulate-filled ocean. We lowered it further into the abyss. The temperature sensors noted a slight warming as it descended, a clue that we might be nearing one of the hypothesized hydrothermal vent regions on the ocean floor. All around was darkness so complete, it was as if light had never existed here at all, which in truth it hadn't. We paused periodically to listen. A hydrophone on the submersible relayed the sounds of Europa's ocean, the gentle hiss and pop of water currents, the distant cracking of ice above, a haunting, muffled chorus of groans and sighs. These sounds were the moon's natural music, echoing through a place no ear had ever heard. It truly felt like we were eavesdropping on a conversation older than humanity. Guiding the submersible deeper, we eventually caught sight of the ocean floor. The terrain appeared on camera as the sub's lights revealed towering structures ahead, hydrothermal vent chimneys, just like those on Earth's seabed. They jutted from the rocky bottom, spewing dark, mineral-laden water that glowed faintly in the infrared view. We gathered around the screens in complete silence as the submersible glided closer to one of the vents. Here was warmth and chemical energy in an otherwise frigid sea, a potential crucible for life. The water around the vent was murky with minerals, and the sub's instruments went wild with readings of complex organics. We strained our eyes at the video feed, searching for any movement. The beam swept across a vent opening and then into the darkness beyond. Suddenly, something drifted through the light, a translucent, wisp-like shape, stirring and then flitting away so quickly we weren't sure it was real. One of us gasped. Had we just seen a living creature? We replayed the footage in slow motion. The form was indistinct, perhaps a swirl of warmer fluid, or maybe, just maybe, an organism startling away from our bright intruder. Our imaginations raced, hearts thumping in our chests as we realized we might be the first to witness life in an alien ocean. We kept the submersible hovering near the vent, cameras rolling, sensors recording every detail. The chemical analyzers detected hints of something remarkable. Molecules like those produced by life, perhaps from microbial mats on the rocks or free-floating organisms. We couldn't declare life's existence definitively with these faint clues, but the evidence was compelling. In the darkness of that European ocean, it felt as though we were not alone. Perhaps life here was microscopic, clustered around the warm vents, just as it is in Earth's deep oceans. Or perhaps that fleeting shape we saw was a larger being, curious or shy, now hidden, just out of sight. The realization dawned on us slowly and gently, without fanfare. If life could exist anywhere beyond Earth, this place seemed so right for it. We found ourselves whispering, as if raising our voices might disturb whatever lived in that eternal night. In our tiny control cabin on the moon's surface, some of us laughed with joy, others wiped away unexpected tears. The notion that we might have just confirmed we are not alone in the universe, if only by the faintest whisper, was almost overwhelming in its quiet profundity. Reluctantly, we knew we had to bring the submersible back. Our time on Europa was limited by radiation exposure and resources. We directed the sub to collect a few water samples and scrape some mineral deposits from around the vent. Precious drops of alien ocean and bits of chimney rock were sealed in sterile vials within the probe. Then, with one last wide-angle look at that shadowy undersea landscape, we began reeling the sub back up. It ascended through the black, up the borehole toward the distant pinprick of light from the surface. When the sub broke through the ice and into our lander bay, we all felt a swell of triumph and relief. We had opened a window into Europa's secret ocean and gathered a piece of its story to carry home. We sealed the samples away carefully, like rare treasures. Our mission at Europa complete, we prepared to depart. We launched our lander back into Europa's orbit, leaving behind a small station on the ice, a beacon, and a reminder of our visit. As our craft ascended, we watched the landing site recede, just a tiny patch of altered ice on a vast white moon. In orbit, we took a final long gaze at Europa below us, crisscrossed with its brown scars, and Jupiter beyond, enormous and banded, dominating the sky. The moon's whispers were now memories etched in our minds. We had heard and touched something profound in that dark ocean, just the faintest hint of another voice in the cosmic night. It was difficult to leave, but we knew our journey was far from over. With samples secured and hearts full of wonder, we fired our engines and escaped Europa's gentle gravity. With Europa behind us, we set our sights on the next great destination. Our ship left Jupiter's realm, coasting outward. Jupiter shrank from a giant marble to a bright star behind us. Ahead, against the blackness, a pale golden glow beckoned. Saturn. The ringed planet awaited, silent and distant. We settled in for the long voyage, carrying with us the whispers of Europa's ocean and the silent promise they held. Beyond lay new wonders, and we were ready to meet them. Approaching Saturn was like approaching a celestial masterpiece hanging in the void. From afar, the planet appeared as a tiny amber dot encircled by the thinnest suggestion of a ring. As weeks turned into months and the distance closed, that dot grew into a discernible globe, and its rings became a breathtaking sight, a broad, flat disk of light surrounding the planet's equator. By the time we were near Saturn, the view was astonishing. The planet's cloud tops were a gentle swirl of creamy gold, ochre, and butterscotch hues, serene and muted compared to Jupiter's wild bands. And the rings, those famous rings, formed a luminous halo, so wide and yet so thin, casting a delicate shadow on the planet below. We fell into a hush as our ship slid into Saturn's sphere of influence. After so long in the darkness since Jupiter, Saturn shone before us with an almost ethereal light. It was like arriving at a tranquil cosmic harbour after a long voyage. Our spacecraft eased into orbit around Saturn, carefully aligning with the plane of the rings. Up close, the rings lost their solid, band-like appearance and resolved into countless individual pieces. We saw chunks of ice and rock of all sizes, from tiny grains to house-sized boulders, each reflecting sunlight as they raced around Saturn. The collective glow of these ice fragments was almost hypnotic, a shimmering band of brilliance wrapping around the planet. We guided our ship to skim just above the ring plane. On one side of us stretched the bright expanse of ring material, and on the other side, the black of space spangled with stars. It was a horizon unlike any other, razor flat and glowing, separating the darkness below from the soft light above. We decided to explore a less dense part of the rings, a gap opened by the gravitational presence of a shepherd moon. Gently, we navigated into this division. On either side of us, the ring's edge glittered, while the gap itself was relatively clear. Floating in this region, we launched a small drone with a camera to fly a short distance away from our ship. Through its lens, we watched as it drifted among the icy shards. They tumbled slowly, some as small as snowflakes, others as large as fists, all moving in an orderly rush around Saturn. It was as if we were suspended in a silent, silver snowstorm. And silent it truly was, despite the countless collisions and interactions happening in the rings. Not a sound reached us. The vacuum of space turned all that dynamic motion into a mute ballet. Now and then, a pea-sized ice chip would ping off our ship's hull, and we'd hear a faint tick through our instruments, reminding us that we were indeed among real, solid particles. We even extended a small scoop into the ring plane and caught a handful of ring material. Under our microscope inside, the grains looked like tiny diamonds, pure water ice mixed with dust from ancient cosmic tales. Holding those specks of Saturn's rings in our hand, we felt a giddy excitement. Few experiences could compare to touching a piece of the most elegant structure in the solar system. As we orbited, Saturn itself offered a spectacle of quiet grandeur. We watched from above as a day unfolded across the planet's cloud tops. A massive hexagon-shaped storm rotated steadily at the North Pole. a geometric wonder in nature. Bands of subtle colour drifted around the planet, and we could see occasional white storm spots forming and dissipating in the golden atmosphere. One side of Saturn was in daylight, the other in night, with the rings cutting across the Terminator line. When Saturn's sunset came, we found ourselves on the night side, witnessing something sublime. The rings were still visible, not by the sun's light now, but as a faint glimmer illuminated by Saturn's own reflected glow. Saturn shine. It was a ghostly, beautiful image. The rings as pale outlines against the starry sky, encircling an almost invisible planet. In those moments, it struck us that we truly understood the phrase silent rings. They encircled Saturn with nearly imperceptible grace, making no sound, existing as a silent poem in space. We allowed ourselves a period of pure observation and contemplation. Saturn's rings, we knew, were not permanent. Over millions of years, they will change and perhaps thin out, the ice gradually spiraling into the planet. That knowledge lent a bittersweet edge to their beauty. How fortunate were we to see them now at their peak, a shimmering celestial disk, ancient yet ephemeral. We took hundreds of photographs and hours of video, but no image could fully capture how it felt to glide alongside them. On one particularly memorable orbit, the moon Titan came into view. Titan, with its thick orange haze, loomed beyond the rings like a mysterious lantern. We could only imagine the liquid methane lakes and dense atmosphere on that moon. For a brief moment, we considered altering our course to visit Titan, but we kept to our planned path. Titan's secrets would have to wait for another journey. Our focus remained on the rings and the immediate environment. All journeys must move on, and so did ours. With one last close pass over the rings, close enough to almost skim the outermost particles, we bid them farewell. In that final flyby, we looked out and saw our own shadow racing across the ring's surface, a tiny dark dot cast by our ship's presence. It was a humbling sight. Our shadow, small against the vastness of Saturn's rings, like a last salute. Then we fired our thrusters and slowly raised our orbit, leaving the rings plain. Saturn, with its majestic rings, began to recede behind us. What had been an overwhelming panorama shrank to a golden globe encircled by a thinning band of light. We took a final long look. In the silence of our cabin, we each silently thanked this planet for its gentle, breathtaking display. It had felt in those days at Saturn that we were guests in a holy place of nature's art. As we turned our ship toward the outer darkness, Saturn shone behind us one more time, a dwindling jewel set in rings of pale fire. Ahead lay the distant stars and the unknown reaches of our solar system's frontier. Beyond Saturn, the darkness deepened and the sun's glow continued to diminish. We were headed into the frontier of the solar system, where few objects and fewer travelers ever venture. The void around us grew more profound. The sunlight, which at Earth was strong and golden, and even at Saturn had been gentle and pale, was now weak and cold. We entered a realm of scattered ice and shadow, home to the small worlds of the Kuiper Belt. Here, far from the warmth of the sun, countless frozen rocks and dwarf planets circle in eternal night. We began to encounter these wanderers. Now and then our charts alerted us to a distant object, perhaps Pluto or one of its kin. We passed one such dwarf planet at a respectful distance, seeing it as only a tiny crescent in our telescopes. It was comforting in a way. Even this far out, the sun still held sway, and these little remnants of formation still danced to its faint tune. This was the solar system's quiet outer garden, filled with ancient, icy relics under the dim starlight. To guide those who would travel so far, humanity had prepared lights in the darkness. Long before our journey, probes had ventured out to some of these remote objects, transforming a few into beacon stations. We began listening for their signals as we moved beyond Saturn's orbit. Sure enough, across the silent expanse came a steady, rhythmic ping, faint but unmistakable. It was the radio heartbeat of a beacon placed on a distant asteroid. This was one of several such beacons scattered among the outer small bodies, each one an outpost saying, "This way, we have been here." The idea that decades ago our predecessors had thoughtfully planted signposts in the cosmic wilderness moved us deeply. In an ocean so vast, even a tiny blinking light or a periodic radio pulse meant that the loneliness was a little less. We knew we were following in the path laid down by explorers before us, guided by their foresight. We set a course toward one particularly important beacon, which was positioned near the edge of the known solar system. After a long cruise through emptiness, the source of the signal came into view. A lonely asteroid, tumbling end over end in the far dark. It wasn't large, perhaps a few dozen kilometers across, an irregular chunk of rock and ice. Our beacon was anchored to it, sending its pulses into the void. As we neared, we could see the beacon's faint strobe blinking on the asteroid's surface at regular intervals, like a tiny lighthouse on a cold, forgotten shore. We gently matched orbit with the spinning rock and prepared to touch down. The asteroid had almost no gravity. Our landing had to be more like a soft docking. With micro-thrusters firing in puffs, we settled onto the surface next to the beacon. For the first time, we had landed in the realm of interplanetary night, beyond all major planets, a final stepping stone before interstellar space. Stepping out onto that asteroid was a different experience entirely. We were clad in our suits, but without the pull of gravity, each motion had to be slow and careful. The horizon was only a few hundred meters away in any direction. This world was so small that we could nearly see its entire curvature by turning our heads. The surface was charcoal grey, littered with small craters and frost-coated rocks that gleamed under our helmet lights. Above, the stars were incredible in their multitudes, uncountable points of light in a sky unmarred by any atmosphere. The sun was an almost star-like pinpoint far behind us now, brighter than the other stars, but no longer the overpowering glow it once was. We could look straight at it, as one might Venus from Earth, an intense white dot, giving just enough illumination to cast faint shadows on the asteroid's ground. It was a frigid, airless worldlet, but standing on it, we felt an exhilaration. We had come to the very edge of our solar system's map, where the known blends into the unknown. The beacon tower stood a few meters away, a slender metal instrument drilled into the rock. Its small antenna steadily beamed its radio signal sunward, and a tiny light at its top blinked on and off with a blue-white hue. We bounded carefully over to it, bounded because walking was impractical in the weak gravity. Each step sent us floating in a slow arc until our magnetic boots gripped the ground again. Reaching the beacon, we checked its status panel. Despite long years in the harsh environment, it was functioning perfectly, powered by a small nuclear battery within. A thin film of dust from countless microscopic collisions coated part of it. We gently wiped the sensors clean, a simple act of maintenance millions of miles from the world where it was built. In the silence, the beacon's light flashed on our visors. We imagined its radio voice traveling all the way back to Earth, saying, "I'm here, all is well." How remarkable, we thought, that human ingenuity had placed this tiny guardian out here to mark the path into the great beyond. For a while, we stood still and simply experienced the moment. There was a profundity to being on this tumbling rock, so close to the boundary between solar system and interstellar space. The beacon beside us kept time with its blinks. Our ship rested quietly nearby, a brief visitor to this speck of matter. In the distance, beyond the asteroid's uneven horizon, stars crowded right down to where black met black. Somewhere among them lay Alpha Centauri, Sirius, and others we had known only from Earth's night skies. Out here, they no longer twinkled. They were steadfast, eternal-seeming fires. We contemplated how, in this place, even the might of the sun was reduced to a glint. We felt an emotion hard to describe, a mixture of pride, loneliness, and belonging. Pride that we had come so far, loneliness in the vastness that surrounded us, and a profound sense of belonging to something larger, the galaxy, the universe itself. These asteroids and their beacons symbolized the farthest reach of humanity's presence. Each beacon was like a hand extended outwards, a promise that we would return and go farther still. We knew that one day, perhaps, other travelers, human or otherwise, might stumble upon these little beacons and know that someone had passed this way before. The thought gave us comfort and a sense of continuity. We left a plaque on the beacon's base, inscribed with a simple message and the date, noting the first human visit to this asteroid outpost. It joined the beacon's steady pulse, wordlessly affirming, "We were here, and we go onward." Our work complete, we prepared to depart this final shore of the solar system. With careful motions, we climbed back into our ship. As we lifted off, the gentle thrust pushed us free of the asteroid's feeble grip with ease. Through the window, we saw the beacon shining one last time on that rocky surface, its light growing fainter as we backed away. Soon the asteroid was just a dark shape lit by the distant sun. Then it too vanished among the stars. Once again, we were alone in space, but now truly poised at the threshold. The beacons behind us pointed the way home. Ahead of us, there were no more beacons, no more familiar landmarks. The solar system was behind us now. Sun, planets, moons, and all. Before us lay the star-flecked gulf of interstellar space, beckoning us into its depths. We took a deep breath, and we sailed on. We journeyed onward into territory where no human had ever been. In time, we reached the invisible boundary where our sun's influence gives way to the broader galaxy, the heliopause. Our instruments marked the crossing. The constant wind of particles streaming from the sun thinned and then ceased, and the gauge measuring charged particles from the galaxy spiked upward. There was no visible line, of course, but we felt a subtle change in the very nature of space around us. Beyond this point, the particles and forces we encountered no longer originated from our sun, but from other stars and ancient supernovas. We had stepped out of our home bubble and into the ocean between worlds. In that moment, a quiet awe enveloped us. We were truly in interstellar space now, voyaging where only a few robotic messengers had gone before, and no person had ever ventured. The vast night welcomed us with open arms. Looking back, we could still pinpoint the sun, though it was hard to believe that tiny star was the mighty golden sun of our childhood skies. It shone straight behind us, now just one brilliant point among many, distinguishable only by its intense brightness and the familiar constellation pattern around it. All the constellations still look the same from here. The shapes of Orion, Cassiopeia, and the others remained as we remembered. We realized that even after traversing billions of miles, we were still so very close to home on a cosmic scale that our perspective on the stars had barely changed. Yet, knowing that one of those little stars was our sun, with Earth, an invisible moat circling it, gave us a lump in our throats. Every story, every life, every piece of music and laughter and love we had ever known was back there, on a speck, circling that distant light. Now, for the first time, we weren't just looking up at the night sky. We were in it, part of that night sky, for anyone back home who might be gazing our way. Interstellar space was silent and empty beyond any emptiness we had experienced. The space between galaxies is emptier still. But for us, having left the relatively crowded solar system, this felt like pure void. Days would pass without a single dust particle striking our ship. The nearest rocks or comets were millions of miles away. Occasionally, our instruments would register the ghostly passing of a stray hydrogen atom left from the birth of the universe, or a thin puff of cosmic rays, high-energy particles from far-off stellar cataclysms. The temperature outside was nearly absolute zero, just a few degrees above it, the faint heat of the universe's background glow. When we looked around, we saw the darkness not as black, but as deep velvet speckled with the light of untold stars. In some directions, dark clouds of interstellar dust blocked our view, great cosmic nebulas that we now saw from within the galaxy itself. There were moments we turned off all the ship's interior lights and pressed our faces to the observation ports to drink in that eternal cosmic vista. The sense of infinite depth, of endless extension in all directions, was almost dizzying. Far from feeling frightened, we felt deeply at peace. The interstellar night was cold and desolate, yes, but it was also majestically beautiful. A vast, silent harmony that we were now moving within. Communication with Earth became an increasingly delayed and tenuous thing. By now, even at light speed, messages took many hours to span the gulf. We kept sending updates, knowing that each one would arrive long after it was written, and any reply would be old news by the time we received it. Eventually, there would be no practical conversation, only a final "good luck" and "we'll be listening" from home that we cherished and played back whenever we felt lonely. Our last live connection had been back near Saturn. Now we spoke to the void and trusted that one day, far ahead, someone would hear us. Before crossing the heliopause, we had sent a farewell package of data toward Earth. All our findings, our journals, even personal letters, just in case it proved impossible later. We imagined those bundles of information quietly travelling back to the inner worlds. Perhaps they would be received by our great-grandchildren, or by scientists not yet born, long after we had gone beyond easy reach. The thought was strangely comforting. As we moved further from our species, a part of us was returning, carrying our story back to where it began. Inside our ship, we settled into a new rhythm, suited to the long haul between stars. There were no more worlds to arrive at in a few months, or even years. Our next planned destination was literally light years away. We occupied our time with maintenance, with study, with reflection. We grew plants in our little hydroponic garden to keep our air fresh and our spirits lifted. The tiny green leaves were a reminder of life and growth in the unchanging void. Each of us found new hobbies or delved into old ones. One crew member composed music on a keyboard, inspired by the solitude around us. Another wrote stories and poetry about our voyage. Others spent hours observing the stars, cataloguing subtle shifts in starlight or the approach of distant cosmic phenomena. We celebrated each small milestone, the day we passed one light day from Earth, then one light week, and so on. Each marker was both exhilarating and sobering. We often gathered to talk about Earth, to share memories of rainstorms, oceans, forests filled with birdsong. In the vacuum of space, we carried those sounds in our minds and could almost hear them when we closed our eyes. We reminded each other that everything we had left behind was still moving forward without us, under that distant sun. And that was okay. It was how it should be. We took strength from knowing that, in some far future, the knowledge we gained out here might guide others, or inspire them. Perhaps one day, ships would ply this route regularly, and our voyage would be seen as one of the first brave steps into the galaxy. That thought made us smile and gave meaning to the endless, silent days of coasting. Ahead of us lay the nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, with Proxima Centauri being the closest of that trinary group. Though still years away, we could identify its position, just a tiny star among many, reddish in hue when split by our prism spectrometers. It's humbling to realize that even the nearest neighbor star was so distant that our incredible speed would still take years and years to bridge the gap. But we were not discouraged. On the contrary, the distance made the prospect of eventually arriving all the more thrilling. We often talked about what we might find there. We knew Proxima Centauri had at least one planet in its habitable zone, a world that, for now, was known only as a faint wobble in starlight detected by telescopes. Could it have oceans and winds? Might there be life of some kind? We allowed ourselves hopeful daydreams. On quiet evenings, we took turns pointing our telescope toward that star, imagining we could just barely discern a pale point of a planet against its glow. It was imagination, of course. The planet was far too small and dim to see. But in our mind's eye, we pictured another sky, another surface waiting for footsteps, or the touch of sunlight on alien flora. These imaginings gave us purpose and helped pull us through the long nights. The galaxy now truly surrounded us. Far from city lights, far even from the sun's glare, we could see the Milky Way as a bright arch of countless stars, clusters, and nebulae. We could see dark rifts where interstellar dust obscured the glow, and we could see, faintly, the neighboring galaxy of Andromeda as a smudge of light, another island universe far beyond our own. Such sights made us all feel something almost spiritual. We were travelers, not just in space, but in a grander sense. Travelers in an endless sea of stars and possibilities. Sometimes, as we floated in our ship with everything turned off except life support, we realized that our tiny vessel was like a small bubble of warmth and life moving against a backdrop of unimaginable cold. We were a spark of consciousness in a vast, deep night. And that spark, fragile as it was, carried something priceless: the hopes, questions, and spirit of humanity. And so we sailed deeper into the interstellar night. The glow of our sun faded to join the myriad other lights of the firmament. In that profound darkness, we found a calm determination. Every day carried us farther than the day before, breaking a new record of distance that only we would ever witness. We thought of the pioneers who crossed oceans on Earth, and how they must have felt watching their homeland disappear on the horizon. Except our ocean had no horizon, and our home star would never rise behind us again. Yet we did not feel despair. Instead, we felt a resolute peace. We were exactly where we needed to be. Each of us, in our own quiet moments, looked out of the ship's windows at the eternal night and felt an almost paradoxical comfort. Though space was empty, we did not feel empty. The farther we went, the more connected we felt to everything, to the atoms of our ship that were forged in ancient stars, to the stardust that made up our own bodies, and to the universe that was welcoming us as new explorers of its uncharted depths. Our journey had no clear end in sight, and that was part of its wonder. We carried on into the unknown, propelled by curiosity and the legacy of all who wandered before us. In the silent canvas of space, our ship's faint hum was the only music, and our optimism the only guide. Somewhere ahead, unimaginable discoveries awaited. New worlds around distant suns, perhaps new life, or simply new understandings of the cosmos. We would be there to witness the dawn of those moments, whenever and wherever they came. Until then, we drifted forward, a tiny speck with a bright spirit, navigating the dark by the lights of distant galaxies. In the endless expanse, we became acutely aware that we were part of a story much greater than ourselves. It was the story of life reaching out, of intelligence spreading its wings beyond the cradle that birthed it. We were, each of us, emissaries of Earth, carrying the essence of our world into the night. We sometimes gathered at the largest window, turned off all interior lights, and simply watched the stars while sharing thoughts aloud or in comfortable silence. Floating there, surrounded by darkness, dotted with ancient light, someone would inevitably whisper, "Just listen." And we would all listen, to the quiet, to the subtle sounds of our own hearts beating, to the universe itself. In that silence, one could almost imagine hearing a faint cosmic melody, as if the stars were quietly singing. Time flowed on, and we continued our voyage into the interstellar night, with hope lighting our way. The vastness ahead was daunting, but not empty of promise. We knew the night would not last forever. One day, we would approach a new sun, and a new dawn would break for us on some distant shore. Until that day, we kept our spirits up and our eyes forward. In the cold between the stars, we carried with us the warmth of human hope and curiosity, a small, persistent flame that defied the darkness. And as we journeyed ever onward, that flame, our collective spirit, burned brightly, guiding us through the cosmic night toward the dawn of a new chapter in the great adventure of the stars. Deep in the quiet of space, glowing clouds paint the darkness with gentle color and light. These are nebulae, vast and ethereal, cosmic clouds of gas and dust that drift through the galaxy's emptiness. In their silence, they form a celestial symphony of color and creation. Wisps of hydrogen glow soft red, tinted by the faint blue of scattered starlight. Dark ribbons of dust weave through them, quiet pauses between the luminous notes. In this cosmic symphony, there is no sound, only light and shadow performing a delicate dance. Towers of vapor and dust stretch like pillars in a grand cosmic hall. Starlight born within the nebula shines outward, illuminating dense contours of gas in shades of rose and violet. It is as if the nebula itself were alive, breathing slowly over millennia, its form ever-changing, yet ever serene. Each nebula carries the memory of stars. Some are nurseries, where new stars spark into life amid the glowing gas. Others are remnants, echoes of long-ago stellar deaths, their dust and atoms cast back into space. In both birth and death, the nebulae radiate a gentle beauty. One can imagine that every newborn star within adds an instrument to the silent symphony, and every dying star writes a final melody in light. Among these clouds, creation and destruction coexist in quiet harmony. A massive young star's fierce light makes the nearby gas glow like a chorus reaching a crescendo. Yet farther out, cooler regions remain in shadow, a hushed verse awaiting its turn. Thin tendrils of matter collide and coalesce, slowly gathering into clumps under gravity's subtle guidance. Over millions of years, those clumps may ignite into new suns, setting the nebula aglow from within. Within the Orion Nebula, for example, a cluster of bright young stars lights up the surrounding gas. Ultraviolet rays from these stars excite hydrogen atoms, causing a soft red luminescence to ripple through the cloud. We see majestic shapes, a suggestion of pillars and ridges carved by starlight and stellar winds. The scene is tranquil, yet full of anticipation, as if the nebula hums with the promise of new worlds to come. Elsewhere, a different kind of nebula tells another tale. A dying star, in its final breaths, can expel its outer layers, forming a planetary nebula, a glowing shell of gas expanding gently into space. From Earth, such a nebula might resemble a delicate ring or an eye in the darkness. At its center lies the faint ember of the star that was, now cooling and dim. The expelled gases shine in vivid colors, soft green from oxygen, red from hydrogen, blue from helium, an ethereal rainbow marking the star's peaceful farewell. It is a quiet epilogue, a gentle sigh at the end of a long stellar life, drifting outward to join the galactic medium. Yet some nebulae shine not by their own fire, but by borrowed light. In these reflection nebulae, fine dust grains scatter the glow of neighboring stars. Instead of emitting a glow of their own, they become gentle mirrors in space, hazy blue apparitions where starlight is diffused into a soft sheen. We see them as faint, ghostly clouds illuminated by a light that originated elsewhere, a quiet reflection of brilliance happening nearby. It is a subtle beauty. The nebula itself remains cool and dark, but cloaked in another's glow. It is revealed, a silhouette turned into a pale, shining veil. Every strand of nebulous cloud we encounter seems to tell a story. There are supernova remnants, chaotic and wispy, where a star once blossomed in a brilliant finale. But even these remains settle into a tranquil silhouette of filaments over time. The Crab Nebula, born from such a cataclysm nearly 1,000 years ago, now appears as a gauzy tapestry of tendrils, a memory of violence transmuted into silent beauty. Within it, a pulsar beats steadily, an almost imperceptible rhythm amidst the stillness, like a lone drum keeping time in the cosmic symphony. Across the galaxy, nebulae come in countless forms, each a variation on the theme of cosmic art. In one region, massive stellar winds and supernova shockwaves sculpt clouds into fantastical shapes. A crescent, a pillar, a giant looping bubble. They float against the void, glowing softly, sometimes studded with the faint glitter of forming stars. In another region, cold, dark nebulae hide in silhouette, blocking the light from stars behind them. These dark nebulae are silent interludes, the rests in the music, waiting in stillness for a cue to ignite. We drift through these regions of color and dark as if swimming in a great cosmic reef. The light from distant stars filters through the gas, scattering into a diffuse glow. Faint emerald and sapphire hues mix with rose and gold, like watercolors bleeding into each other. There is no rush here. Changes that would stun us with their swiftness happen on timescales so slow they appear gentle, like clouds changing shape on a lazy afternoon. Except here, the afternoon lasts millennia. Amidst the nebula, tiny grains of dust glint, minute crystals of frozen carbon and silica that catch starlight. This dust, though sparse, carries the seeds of planets within it. In time, some of it will gather into new worlds, orbiting the stars that form. We are witnessing not just a peaceful vista, but the quiet forging of the future. Every particle in the nebula moves with purpose, guided by gravity's patient hand and the subtle push of light. It is a cosmic lullaby in the making, a cradle for unborn suns and their planets. The symphony has its movements, a brightening here as a young star ignites, a fading there as gas disperses. Over tens of millions of years, the nebula might dissolve entirely, its gas taken up into new suns and new planets, or blown away by stellar winds. Yet in the grand silence of space, even this dispersal is serene. It's like a slow, gentle diminuendo, as the once bright cloud returns to the quiet of the interstellar medium. Imagine yourself floating within such a nebula. Stars are scattered around like distant candles. The gas stretches out in all directions, a faint haze with subtle texture, dimly lit in soft colours. The gas here is so thin you would not feel it at all. Each cubic inch holds fewer atoms than the emptiest vacuum on Earth. Yet from afar, these scattered atoms join forces to paint luminous clouds across the night. There is a profound stillness. You feel no movement, yet everything around you is slowly evolving. Particles collide occasionally in the distance, but you hear nothing of it. The silence is absolute, broken only by the light that your eyes translate into a symphony of pastel shades. The impression is one of overwhelming calm and majesty, a cathedral built not of stone, but of luminous vapour. In this cathedral of nebulae, time itself seems to slow. A human lifetime is a flicker here, a single beat in the cosmic music. We could watch for 1,000 years and see only subtle changes. A star growing slightly brighter, a filament of dust twisting gently. To truly witness the life cycle of a nebula, one would need to observe across epochs. Entire civilizations could rise and fall elsewhere in the time it takes for a cloud to condense into a star. And still the nebula would drift, unhurried, carrying on its quiet work of creation. Enveloped in this soft radiance, we listen with our eyes to the silent symphony. It reminds us that even in the void, there is creativity and gentle action. Nebulae are a promise. From the scattered atoms of old stars, new stars will be born. From chaos, order, and beauty emerge in the fullness of time. It is a comforting thought. Out of darkness and dispersal comes light and life, again and again, in an endless cycle. As we float onward, leaving the glowing cloud behind, the faint light of the nebula recedes into the distance. Its colours dim softly, blending back into the darkness. The silent music of starbirth fades from our immediate perception. Ahead, the cosmos seems a little darker and emptier without the nebula's glow. But in that darkness lies another kind of mystery. Beyond the gentle cradle of the nebulae, deeper shadows beckon, places where light itself is trapped in eternal night. Our journey now carries us from the birthplace of stars into the quiet embrace of cosmic midnight, where a different lullaby sounds. A deeper darkness surrounds us now, far from the gentle glow of nebulae. Here, starlight grows sparse, and a heavy stillness pervades the void. We have entered the realm of black holes, mysterious wells of gravity, where even light succumbs to silence. In this cosmic midnight, an invisible lullaby seems to hum. It is not a song of light or sound, but a profound gravitational presence, drawing in anything that strays too near with a patient, inescapable pull. Black holes themselves emit no light. They are pure shadow against the backdrop of space. One might drift unknowingly toward one, seeing only the absence of stars where its silhouette blocks the sky. As we approach such darkness, the first hint is not sound, but the distortion of starlight around it. Like a great lens, the black hole bends the light of distant stars into arcs and halos. We might see a ring of light encircling a patch of black, the telltale halo signaling the invisible mass within. It is a beautiful and eerie sight, a cosmic mirage announcing the presence of the unseen. Venturing closer, we feel gravity's embrace growing stronger, a pull unlike any other. Time itself begins to slow in this gravity well. If we could watch a clock falling toward the black hole, we would see its hands creep ever more slowly, as if lulled by the deepening gravity. At the edge of the black hole, the event horizon, time nearly stops altogether from an outside view. It is as if the universe holds its breath at this threshold. Anything crossing that boundary vanishes from our sight, frozen in time and fading to darkness. In this way, the black hole sings a lullaby to matter. An object falling in appears to gradually dim and redden, its last light stretched to invisibility. It is a gentle goodbye from our perspective, as the star, or stray bit of cosmic dust, slips into eternal night. Within the event horizon lies a mystery we cannot see or hear, a place where our understanding falters. Some say a singularity, a point of infinite density, waits at the center, where all that falls is ultimately compressed beyond recognition. But there is only silence for us. No information returns from beyond that veil. It is a one-way journey. Yet one cannot help but wonder what secrets are held in that perpetual dark. Does anything of the fallen star remain, spinning quietly in oblivion? Such questions drift unanswered, like a melody that trails off before its final note. Not all black holes are entirely silent in their effects. When a black hole feeds, it can trigger brilliant displays in its vicinity, ironically creating light by consuming matter. Gas drawn in forms a swirling disk around the black hole, heating up and glowing fiercely just before vanishing. But even these radiant accretion disks do not break the quiet of space. They spin in eerie silence. Sometimes, twin jets of particles shoot out from the poles of a feeding black hole, streaming energy far into space. To a distant observer, such a jet might appear as a steady, narrow beam, a cosmic lighthouse shining from the edge of a void. Yet despite this immense display, we hear nothing. Even these powerful outpourings unfold in the soundless vacuum, as though muffled by the cosmic night. Consider the colossal black hole at the center of our own galaxy. It is a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of our sun, and for now, it slumbers. Stars swarm around it in a rapid ballet, whipped along by its gravity. We cannot see the black hole itself, but we know it is there by the way those stars move, fast and close, like comets flung around an invisible sun. Once in a great while, a drifting cloud or star wanders too near, and the black hole awakens, flaring briefly as it devours the meal. But mostly, it remains a quiet monarch at the galaxy's core, content to let gravity do the speaking. The stars that circle it follow a steady rhythm, a gravitational lullaby that has played for millions of years. Far from the galactic center, there are smaller black holes too, the scattered remnants of massive stars that died in collapse. These wanderers drift in the galactic sea, often unnoticed unless they interact with their surroundings. Occasionally, one will pull gas from a neighboring star, and we detect its presence in a sudden burst of X-rays or a flicker of high-energy light. But when they float alone, with nothing to consume, they are perfectly dark, blending into the cosmic backdrop. One could pass near a quiescent black hole and see the starry universe strangely warped around a central nothingness, like a funhouse mirror in space. If you kept a safe distance, you might hardly suspect anything was there at all. Only a slight gravitational tug and the odd distortion of background starlight would give away the compact abyss lurking in front of you. There is a deep peace to be found in this darkness. The idea of a black hole often evokes fear, an inescapable abyss. Yet here, in the stillness of space, a black hole can feel like a place of rest. It is the end state of a star's journey. After a brilliant life and a violent death, what remains is simplicity, silence, and gravity. In a sense, a black hole is a tomb of light and matter, but also a kind of cosmic chrysalis of stillness. All the noise and light that once was have been quieted. Only gravity remains, steady and unyielding, like a sustained bass note that underlies the quiet cosmic music. Imagine drifting at a safe distance from an isolated black hole. The stars behind it form a distorted ring of light, revealing the outline of the invisible. All around you, space appears calm and unchanged, yet you know a massive phantom is present. You feel its gentle tug, but you remain in a stable orbit, circling as the distant stars do. It is peaceful, gliding through darkness around this hidden colossus. Looking toward the black hole, you might glimpse a faint halo, the last photons of light that skim the edge and escape, outlining where the event horizon is. That halo is the boundary between the world we know and the world we cannot see. Inside that boundary, utter blackness. Outside it, the starry expanse. The contrast is profound and strangely beautiful, like a perfect well of night surrounded by a thin halo of twilight. In the quiet of that orbit, one might ponder the flow of time itself. Near the black hole, time slows dramatically. If you drift too close, ages could pass in the outside universe, while only moments pass for you. It's as if the black hole invites you into a slower universe of its own. This slowing of time is a final lullaby, a beckoning to rest indefinitely. Yet heed must be paid. Venture too far in, and return becomes impossible. It is a sleep from which one cannot awaken. On cosmic timescales, even black holes may not last forever. Theories suggest that over trillions upon trillions of years, a black hole will slowly evaporate, releasing its mass as faint heat known as Hawking radiation. This process is so slow and so quiet, It is like the softest whisper imaginable, a single sigh spread over eons. In the far, far future, long after the stars have burned out, black holes might be the final sources of faint energy, each one gently fading until at last they wink out. It's a thought both melancholy and peaceful. Even these giants of darkness have an ending, dissolving into the cold light of a dying universe. Every so often, two black holes may meet amid the darkness. They begin to spiral around each other, slowly at first, then faster as they draw together. This dance, invisible to the eye, causes space itself to tremble. Waves in space-time ripple outward, carrying news of the impending union. When the black holes finally merge, they do so in silence. There is no sound, no flash of light that human eyes could see, just the sudden quiver of the cosmic fabric. By the time these gravitational ripples reach across galaxies to us, they are incredibly faint. Only with the most delicate instruments can we sense these passing waves, these gentle murmurs in space-time. They are the echoes of that final dance, the last lullaby of two black holes becoming one. In those fleeting waves, the universe whispers of one of its most secret events. Having explored the hush of black holes, we feel a sense of humility. These entities push the boundaries of what we know, yet in experiencing their realm, we also encountered profound tranquility. As we drift onward, leaving the black hole's influence behind, the stars come back into clear focus, and the pull of that abyss fades. The emptiness around us feels different now. We have touched the edge of absolute night and emerged. The cosmos is filled with the unseen and the profound. Black holes are not the only invisible shapers of cosmic reality. As we leave behind the solitary darkness of the black hole's domain, we look out at the grand tapestry of the universe and notice patterns too vast to be made by stars alone. There is an invisible scaffold stretching between galaxies, an enormity of darkness that guides the arrangement of the light we see. We set our course toward those silent architects of the void, the unseen hands that sculpt the cosmos on the largest scales. We drift further out, widening our perspective to truly vast scales. Here the universe reveals a hidden structure. Galaxies are not scattered randomly like grains of sand. They form patterns, clusters, filaments, and immense voids between them. It is as if we are looking at a cosmic web, filaments of galaxies threading through space, weaving junctions where clusters of galaxies shine together. And between these luminous threads lie enormous dark gaps, voids spanning tens of millions of light years, nearly empty. This grand design did not arise by chance alone. Unseen forces, the architects of the void, have been at work for eons, quietly shaping this tapestry of matter and emptiness. Though we see the galaxies like bright nodes on cosmic filaments, something invisible binds them in place. An immense gravitational scaffolding underlies the visible universe. This is dark matter, matter which neither emits nor reflects light, making it effectively invisible. Yet it is far more abundant than the stars themselves. Out in the darkness, halos of dark matter surround galaxies like gentle cocoons, extending well beyond the glowing stars. We cannot see these halos directly, but we feel their presence in the motions of galaxies. The outer stars of spiral galaxies, for instance, whip around faster than they should if only visible matter existed, moving as if held by the gravitational grip of an unseen mass. That invisible mass is the dark matter, wrapping each galaxy and merging with the larger web that connects galaxy to galaxy. In the early universe, long before stars ignited, dark matter began clumping under gravity's pull. It formed a faint blueprint, a lattice of high and low density, which ordinary matter later followed. Over billions of years, gas fell into the unseen wells of dark matter and formed stars and galaxies there, tracing out the same vast patterns. In this way, dark matter became the quiet architect of structure, guiding where galaxies would form and where cosmic voids would remain. We zoom out in our imagination, millions of light years away, to observe this grand map. Spread out before us is a wispy cosmic web stretching in every direction. Filaments of dark matter crisscross like gossamer threads, and along them shine galaxies like tiny jewels. At the intersections of filaments lie galaxy clusters, teeming with hundreds or thousands of galaxies bound together. These are the nodes of the cosmic web, where dark matter's gravity has drawn in great tides of normal matter. And surrounding these filaments are enormous voids, vast regions with hardly any galaxies at all, the largest expanses of nothingness we know. One such void could be so huge that dozens of galaxies the size of the Milky Way would fit across it. Yet inside that void, one might find only a few stray galaxies, or none at all. These empty expanses are not entirely devoid of matter. There are trace atoms, perhaps a few drifting solitary stars, or thin wisps of gas. But by and large, they are cosmic deserts. They exist because gravity shepherded most matter into the filaments and clusters, leaving great hollows in between. It is a striking sight to imagine. Immense bubbles of nearly empty space, outlined by faint glowing walls of galaxies. The architects of the void work subtly. Dark matter, being invisible, never announces itself except through gravity's pull. If not for careful observation and deduction, we might never know it's there. But its fingerprints are all over the cosmos. We see galaxies dancing to the tune of invisible mass. We see light from distant quasars curving around unseen structures in an effect known as gravitational lensing, like funhouse mirrors in space, caused by hidden mass-bending light. In these distortions, we catch glimpses of dark matter's layout. It confirms that the majority of matter in the universe resides in this shadow form, orchestrating the motions of the visible world. Yet dark matter is not alone in sculpting the cosmos. There is another, even more enigmatic influence permeating space. While dark matter pulls things together, this other presence pushes everything apart. We know it only by its effect on the expansion of the universe. Distant galaxies are receding from us, and not just receding, but accelerating in their flight, as if driven by a repulsive force embedded in the fabric of space itself. We call this mysterious influence dark energy. If dark matter is the architect of structure, dark energy is the architect of expansion and emptiness. It works on the grandest of scales, stretching the very canvas of the cosmos. Dark energy is a gentle but relentless pressure, exceedingly small in any given volume, yet dominant when spread across the vast reaches of space. Over billions of years, it has begun to overpower gravity on the largest scales, causing the cosmic web to thin out and the voids to widen. Galaxies in different clusters drift farther apart, and the spaces between them grow more desolate. The result is that the universe becomes more fragmented. Islands of galaxies separated by growing oceans of dark nothingness. Even now, in this epoch, we can sense the results. Clusters of galaxies remain tightly bound internally by their gravity and dark matter. But between clusters, the expansion of space accelerates. The voids expand like silent balloons, inflating in slow motion, pushing clusters further into isolation. The cosmic web is being stretched. One day, far in the future, the voids may dominate so completely that distant galaxies will slip beyond each other's horizons, each cluster marooned in darkness, unaware of the other's existence. All that will remain visible to any one island of galaxies will be the stars of its own cluster. Everything else will have been carried too far away by the accelerating expansion. For now, though, the cosmic web still binds many galaxies together, and we can observe its delicate beauty. Imagine for a moment we could light up the dark matter itself, making the invisible visible. We would see an intricate network resembling lace, or the veins of a leaf spread through space. Galaxies would trace those veins, congregating where the lines cross. It would look almost organic, a universe-sized organism, with dark matter filaments as the skeleton on which luminous matter grows like flesh. By contrast, the voids would appear as vast black cavities, their emptiness emphasized by the bright structure encircling them. In this perspective, one gains a sense of just how much of creation is unseen. The stars and nebulae, all the glowing things we marvel at, are mere highlights on a far larger, hidden stage. The architects of the void, dark matter, and dark energy compose a cosmic duet of gravity and expansion. One creates frameworks for galaxies to coalesce. The other ensures that space continues to open up, enlarging the gaps between those frameworks. Together, they have shaped the universe we see today, a beautiful, sprawling web punctuated by enormous gulfs of night. Drifting through a region of the cosmic web, we might pass from a cluster of galaxies down a long, sparse filament. Galaxies would thin out as we went along, until we found ourselves in a tenuous stream of only occasional suns and star clusters in the inky void. Eventually, even those would fade behind us as we entered the heart of a great void. Here, truly, would be darkness unlike any other, a loneliness of unimaginable scale. The nearest galaxies would be so distant they barely gleam, and around us would lie the quiet of intergalactic space, inhabited only by the faint whisper of atoms and the dim glow of ancient microwave light from the universe's infancy. And yet, even in that deep emptiness, we are not entirely beyond structure. The gravity of the surrounding walls of galaxies still gently tugs, defining the void's boundaries. We are in a bowl of nothing, carved out by all the somethings around it. This emptiness was crafted just as surely as the galaxy clusters were, shaped by the distribution of matter and the expansion of space. In the silent center of a void, we can truly appreciate the work of these cosmic architects. There is an equilibrium here. Matter outlines the emptiness, and emptiness gives contrast and context to the matter. Our journey through the large-scale universe leaves us humbled. So much of what exists is invisible to our eyes, yet its influence is everywhere. We realize that to understand the cosmos, we must look not just at the stars and luminous nebulae, but also at the dark skeleton and the vast, silent spaces between. It is a reminder that creation is more than what we directly see, that sometimes the voids and the shadows hold the greatest truths of all. Yet for all the vastness and darkness, the universe does not keep its secrets in absolute silence. Across the emptiness, signals still travel. The lights of stars, the subtle glow of distant galaxies, the faint whispers of radiation left from the beginning of time. Every distant beam of light that reaches us is a messenger, carrying information from another place and era. Through these cosmic echoes, we have learned nearly everything we know about realms we cannot touch. Now, leaving behind the grand structure of the cosmic web, we turn to those messengers, to the echoes of distant stars and events that bridge the gulfs of space and time. By following their journey, we will discover what they reveal, and how even across light years of emptiness, we are connected by the universe's oldest means of communication. Space is silent to our ears, yet it is alive with messages. Across the immense darkness, stars and other celestial beacons are constantly sending out light and other forms of energy. These signals travel for years, centuries, millennia, crossing gulfs of emptiness to reach whoever or whatever might be watching. They are echoes of distant stars, carrying information from another place and time. When we gaze up on a clear night, the gentle starlight that falls upon our eyes is truly ancient. It left its source long ago, and only now, after a lonely journey through space, does it arrive to tell its story. Each star we see in the sky is like a beacon from the past. The nearer stars shine with light that may be decades old by the time it reaches us. Light from some of the farther stars began its journey thousands of years ago, long before history as we know it was recorded. And when we look at distant galaxies through our telescopes, we are seeing them as they were millions or even billions of years in the past. The universe, in this way, is a vast time machine, and the light we catch is an echo, a snapshot of a moment that has long since passed at its source. Yet through those ancient photons, events and objects of bygone eras speak to us across time and space. Imagine a massive star ending its life in a cataclysmic supernova in a far-off galaxy. The explosion occurs in an instant, shining briefly, as bright as a billion suns. But the news of this event must travel across the void. Only after perhaps millions of years will the glow of that explosion reach Earth, faintly illuminating the mirrors of our telescopes. By the time we witness the supernova's flash, the event itself is incredibly old, and the star that died has long since become a remnant, a neutron star or a black hole cooling in the darkness. What we see is the echo of the star's death, a brilliant shout in the cosmic night that echoes across eons before gently entering our awareness. Not all stellar echoes are as singular as a one-time explosion. Many stars send out steady messages that we can decipher like a recurring melody. For instance, there are pulsars, the rapidly spinning, flashing remnants of supernovae. These small, dense neutron stars emit beams of radio waves as they rotate, rather like cosmic lighthouses. Each time the beam sweeps past Earth, we detect a pulse of radio energy. It arrives with clockwork regularity, so much so that the astronomers who first discovered pulsars half-jokingly nicknamed their source LGM, Little Green Men, wondering if the precise pulses might be signals from an intelligent civilization. In reality, it was a distant star's corpse, a neutron star spinning so fast, sometimes dozens or hundreds of rotations per second, that it produces a rapid series of blips. Listening to a pulsar's rhythm is like hearing the ticking of an unimaginably distant clock, or the heartbeat of a star that has died, yet still sends a signal of its presence. It is another kind of echo, not a fading ring of a single event, but a steady cosmic heartbeat resonating across space in radio waves. Every form of light or radiation that races through space is a carrier of information. Stars emit visible light that our eyes can see, but they also bathe the universe in invisible wavelengths: infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, radio. Each type of light can traverse the emptiness and bring us a different story. When we point a radio telescope at the sky, we are literally listening to the radio echoes of cosmic phenomena. We tune in to the whisper of cold hydrogen clouds between the stars, the crackle of distant quasars, the complex signals of molecules in star-forming regions. In X-ray and gamma-ray observatories, we capture the high-energy emissaries of pulsars, neutron star collisions, and gas spiraling into black holes. Each wavelength is like a different voice in the cosmic choir, together composing a fuller picture of the universe's events. One ubiquitous cosmic echo surrounds us all the time: the faint hiss of the cosmic microwave background. This is the afterglow of the Big Bang itself, the oldest light in existence, now cooled and stretched to microwave frequencies over nearly 14 billion years. It's everywhere we point a radio antenna, a uniform faint signal coming from all directions. Discovered by accident as a persistent noise in a radio receiver, this background radiation turned out to be a baby picture of the universe. To this day, it is a kind of gentle static that pervades space, a reminder that the cosmos had a hot, dense beginning. We could call it an echo of creation, energy released when the universe was only 380,000 years old, still detectable now. In it, if we look closely, are imprinted tiny variations that speak of the seeds of galaxies and the distribution of matter long ago. It is as if the universe still softly remembers its infancy, and that memory reaches us as a uniform whisper from every patch of sky. Sometimes echoes arrive in roundabout ways. A flash of light from a distant star might bounce off a cloud of interstellar dust and reach us years or centuries after the direct light, much like how a sound can echo off a canyon wall. Astronomers have observed these light echoes in the vicinity of stellar explosions. Long after a star has exploded, we might see a ghostly ring of illumination expanding through a nearby nebula, light from the explosion taking an indirect route, reflecting off dust and arriving late. These phenomena are rare and fleeting, but they offer a unique opportunity, a single event viewed multiple times via different paths. It reminds us that light, once emitted, can take many paths through the cosmos, and sometimes a cosmic event can reverberate more than once across the ages. In the grand, silent expanse, we have become avid listeners and watchers of these cosmic echoes. Our telescopes and detectors are like giant ears and eyes, tuned to every band of light, straining to catch each whisper from the stars. We sit quietly in the darkness of observatories or on remote mountaintops, collecting photons that have traveled unimaginable distances. Each one of those photons that lands in a telescope's mirror or on a sensor is like a messenger finally completing a long journey. By gathering these messengers and studying their properties, their color, their energy, the timing of their arrival, we piece together narratives of things far away. The color of a star's light tells us its temperature. The specific wavelengths contain patterns that reveal what elements the star is made of. Through a prism or a spectrograph, we spread the starlight into a rainbow and find dark lines imprinted there, where atoms in the star's outer layers have absorbed certain colors. Those spectral lines are the star's voice, a cosmic Morse code carrying rich information about its composition, pressure, and motion. And here is a beautiful connection. The echoes of distant stars carry within them the secrets of the microscopic world. The dark lines and bright lines in a star's spectrum come from electrons jumping between specific energy levels inside atoms. Tiny quantum events happening by the billions in the star's atmosphere. Yet their collective effect travels light years to reach our instruments. In a very real sense, when we observe starlight, we are witnessing quantum physics in action across the cosmos. The fingerprints of hydrogen, helium, calcium, iron, and more. All these appear as patterns in the light, each corresponding to a transition in an atom. We have learned to read those codes, deciphering the faint imprints of elements and conditions from afar. Indeed, the need to explain these spectral lines was one of the key puzzles that led scientists to the theory of quantum mechanics here on Earth. Thus, the stars, in whispering their stories to us through their light, also guided us toward understanding the subatomic realm. As we marvel at the cosmic echoes arriving at Earth every moment, we recognize that everything we know about the universe beyond our own planet has come to us through these whispers. We cannot touch the stars or scoop up a bit of a distant galaxy, but we don't need to. Their light faithfully brings us the essence of their being. We live in an ocean of signals, a symphony of cosmic memories, if only we have the tools and knowledge to listen. And listen we have, transforming those faint signals into comprehension of worlds and phenomena we may never visit. Now our journey turns inward and more subtle. We have followed the trail of cosmic light to its very source, the atoms and fundamental processes that produce the glow of stars and nebulae. To truly understand those distant echoes, we must delve into the nature of matter and energy on the smallest scales. Our next voyage lies into the realm of the very small, where particles dance and flicker with possibility. The realm of quantum dreams, about to be unveiled. In this subatomic domain, we will find answers to some of the mysteries we've already encountered, and discover new wonders that underpin the cosmos itself. We now venture into the very fabric of reality, to a realm smaller and stranger than anything we've explored before. In the emptiness between stars, and even within the atoms that make up those stars, an invisible choreography is constantly underway. This is the quantum realm, a domain where the rules of nature defy intuition and borders between things blur. Here, particles can exist in many states at once. Locations dissolve into probabilities, and events seem to flicker in and out of existence. It is as if, at the smallest scales, the universe is whispering a multitude of possibilities, a quiet dream of all the ways things could be, waiting for a moment of observation to choose one reality. Imagine observing a single electron, one of the fundamental components of atoms. In the everyday world, we might picture it as a tiny point orbiting an atomic nucleus, like a planet around the sun. But in the quantum world, that picture fails. Instead, the electron behaves as a smear of potential, a fuzzy cloud of probability that fills a region of space. We cannot say exactly where it is. We can only list the possible places it might be found. It is only when we perform a measurement that the electron seems to decide on a definite position or state. Until that moment, it's as if the electron exists in a haze of many possibilities at once, a bit of everywhere it could be. This phenomenon is known as superposition, and it means that on a quantum level, reality isn't as solid or singular as it appears. The electron, in a sense, lives in a dreamlike state of multiple overlapping realities, and only upon interaction with the outside world is that dream reduced to the single outcome we observe. Even what we call empty space is not truly empty in the quantum sense. Deep in the vacuum, there is a restless energy, a constant flicker of creation and annihilation. Tiny particle-antiparticle pairs spontaneously emerge from nothingness, exist for a fleeting moment, and then disappear again. An incessant quantum foam underlying what we perceive as void. These virtual particles cannot be observed directly. They vanish too quickly. But their effects can be measured. They give the vacuum a sort of texture. For instance, two very close, uncharged metal plates will feel a slight force pushing them together due to changes in this quantum vacuum energy, the Casimir effect. What appears as nothing is in reality a dynamic arena where particles are continually borrowing energy from the void and then giving it back, a sea of quantum fluctuations. It's as though the universe, even in its quietest moments, is never truly still. It constantly entertains tiny, ephemeral dreams of particles flitting in and out of existence. The quantum realm also allows particles to do things that would seem like magic in our everyday world. A particle can, for example, pass through barriers that it seemingly shouldn't be able to, a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling. Imagine throwing a ball at a wall and finding, once in a rare while, the ball simply ends up on the other side of the wall without making a hole, intact, and as if the wall weren't even there. In the macroscopic world that never happens, but in the quantum world, it's a routine occurrence for electrons and other subatomic particles. If there's a barrier, say, an energy threshold, there's a small but real chance the particle can tunnel through it, essentially appearing on the other side as if the barrier were no obstacle at all. It defies classical logic, but quantum mechanics shows that particles are described by wave-like probabilities that can leak through barriers. Many of them don't make it, but some do, and that is enough to have significant effects. In fact, the warmth and light of our sun owe a debt to quantum tunneling. In the sun's core, atomic nuclei, hydrogen protons, must come extremely close to each other to fuse into helium and release energy. Classically, you'd calculate that the protons don't have enough energy to overcome their mutual electric repulsion, except on extremely rare occasions. If the sun relied solely on classical physics, its fusion reactions would be terribly inefficient, and the sun might not shine as steadily as it does. But thanks to quantum tunneling, protons have a small chance to get close enough, even when they seemingly shouldn't. Once in a rare while, but given the sun's countless protons, rare is happening all the time on some scale. A proton tunnels through the energy barrier and fuses with another. It's this quantum quirk that allows the sun's core to sustain the chain of reactions that produce sunlight. In essence, the star's brilliant energy is sparked by a subatomic leap of faith, a tunneling trick that defies classical probability, yet is perfectly natural in the quantum world. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the quantum world is entanglement, a phenomenon where two or more particles become linked so that the state of one is instantly related to the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are. If we create a pair of entangled particles and send them to opposite sides of the galaxy, measuring one will immediately influence the outcome for the other in a correlated way. To be clear, it doesn't allow information to travel faster than light. You can't control what result you get. But the connection between them is real and outside the realm of classical explanation. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, as it seemed to violate the principle that nothing can influence anything else faster than light can travel. Yet entanglement has been repeatedly confirmed in laboratory experiments, over distances of kilometers, and indirectly up to satellite links in space, and it is very much a real feature of our world. It suggests that on the deepest level, the separations we see in space might be an illusion, that particles can be fundamentally connected in ways our macroscopic concepts can't easily picture. It's as though two particles, once part of the same system, continue to share a single fate even when apart. What one particle chooses during a measurement, the other will instantaneously agree to, as if they share a hidden communication line that ignores distance. Entangled particles behave like twin coins that always land on opposite sides when flipped, even if the coins are on different continents. Flip one and get heads. The other, when flipped, will assuredly land tails. How does the second know? This is the mystery. Some physicists liken entanglement to a kind of deep cosmic memory. The particles haven't forgotten that they were once together, and in ways we don't yet fully understand, that bond persists. The early universe offers a striking example of quantum influence on a cosmic scale. Right after the Big Bang, the universe was a hot, dense soup of particles suffused with quantum fluctuations, random little variations in density and energy. During a brief period of hyper-rapid expansion, inflation, those tiny fluctuations were stretched and amplified. Regions that were slightly more dense than average grew into the seeds of galaxies and clusters, while slightly less dense regions became the vast voids. In other words, the immense structure of the universe, the cosmic web of clusters and voids that we mapped earlier, is essentially the imprint of quantum noise from the universe's infancy. The largest patterns in existence were drawn by the smallest jiggles in the primordial quantum fields. From microscopic randomness arose the scaffold on which all stars and galaxies later formed. This deep connection between quantum physics and cosmology means that when we observe the clustering of galaxies billions of light years away, we are seeing the fossilized imprint of subatomic processes. The dreams of the quantum realm, tiny, momentary, and seemingly trivial, became the architecture of everything. Quantum mechanics also teaches us about the role of chance in the fundamental workings of reality. At the quantum level, outcomes are often not predetermined, but are drawn from a deck of probabilities. A radioactive atom, for example, has no set timer for when it will decay. It only has a probability to decay in a given time frame. It might last a millisecond or a million years. We cannot know until it happens. In a large sample of atoms, we can predict that half will decay by a certain time. That's the half-life. But for any single atom, the moment of decay is inherently uncertain and without a specific cause we can point to. This isn't due to ignorance. It appears to be a fundamental aspect of nature. The universe, at its core, incorporates true randomness. It's as if, on some level, nature rolls the dice. This intrinsic uncertainty has been verified over and over and is built into the fabric of quantum theory. And yet, when billions of these uncertain events average out, they produce the stable, reliable world we experience. Your computer's microchips work precisely because of quantum rules, and yet they perform deterministic logic. The predictable emerges from the probabilistic in a beautiful balancing act. Such strangeness invites bold speculation. Some have wondered if every quantum event that could happen does happen in some branch of reality, a conjecture known as the many worlds interpretation. In this view, the electron that had many possible locations doesn't actually choose one when measured. Instead, the universe itself splits, and in each new branch, the electron takes one of the possible positions. Entire cosmoses proliferate for each outcome of each quantum event, creating a multiverse of innumerable slightly different realities. It's a wild idea, and if true, it would mean that literally every imaginable history exists in some parallel world. However, these parallel universes would be non-communicating, forever separate, making the idea almost philosophical. Whether or not one subscribes to this interpretation, it underscores how our classical intuition struggles to grasp what quantum mechanics is telling us. At minimum, it urges us to accept that the universe might not be single-threaded in the way we think. What we experience as the outcome might not be the only outcome that reality allowed. While quantum mechanics and relativity, the theory governing gravity and the cosmic scale, have both been spectacularly successful in their domains, a complete unified picture remains elusive. At the heart of a black hole, or the beginning of the universe, places where gravitational forces are immense and quantum effects cannot be ignored, our current theories break down. Physicists dream of a theory of quantum gravity that would marry the jittery world of quanta with the smooth geometry of space-time. Strings, loops, and other exotic ideas have been proposed, suggesting that perhaps particles are tiny vibrating strings, or space-time itself has a discrete quantum structure. As of now, these are beautiful dreams awaiting experimental evidence. Still, the search itself is fruitful. It continually reveals new mathematical symmetries and deepens our understanding of both quantum theory and gravity. One day, a breakthrough may come that shows how black holes process information, or how the fabric of the universe emerged from a quantum fluctuation. Such a theory would be the ultimate unveiling of the cosmic and quantum connection, a kind of final bridge in our understanding. For now, quantum mechanics remains our best glimpse into the universe's underlying rules, and it is both wondrous and puzzling. From it, we've gleaned the knowledge to build lasers and transistors, unlocking the digital age and a host of technologies that would seem miraculous to our ancestors. We understand why the sun shines and how atoms bond into molecules. We've learned that the apparently solid world is sustained by ghostly exchanges of virtual particles and fields. We found that certainty was an illusion, and that probability reigns at the foundations of things. Reality, at its smallest, behaves less like a machine and more like a poem, full of symmetry, rhythm, surprise, and ambiguity. Standing at the threshold of this subatomic world, we can't help but feel a profound respect for nature's complexity. The everyday world we perceive, with its solid tables and clear-cut paths, rests upon a substructure of flickering chances and entangled webs of relation. Every breath we take, every ray of starlight we see, every atom in our bodies is a product of the quantum processes, playing out flawlessly and incessantly. In this way, the quantum realm is not remote from us. It is within and around us continuously. We ourselves are quantum beings, in the sense that without these microscopic rules operating just as they do, we could not exist. Having delved into the minute and the abstract, we are now ready to reflect on how all these pieces come together in the story of the cosmos. The vast cosmic structures, the distant starlight, the hidden dark matter scaffolding, the faint gravitational whispers, and the quantum flickers at the foundation of it all. Together, they compose the grand narrative of our universe. And that narrative has been recorded in countless ways, waiting for us to learn how to read it. Our next chapter is about this grand record, the cosmic archive of existence. In it lie the memories of the universe, the afterglow of the Big Bang, the fossils of stars, the patterns of galaxies, and much more. We will see how the cosmos remembers its past, and how we, as curious beings, are decoding that cosmic diary, page by page, light by light. The universe remembers. It has kept an imprint of nearly every event that has ever occurred, if one knows how to look for it. In the very oldest light that fills space, in the composition of ancient stars, in the remnants left behind by generations of suns, and even in the atoms within our own bodies, the story of the cosmos is recorded. This grand record, the cosmic archive, is all around us, waiting to be read. One of the most profound entries in this archive is the cosmic microwave background, that faint afterglow of the Big Bang we encountered earlier. It is the oldest light we can see, a snapshot of the universe as a hot, dense plasma, about 380,000 years after its birth. Encoded in its faint ripples and slight warm and cool patches is a wealth of information. The seeds of future galaxies and clusters, the density and ingredients of the early cosmos, even the age and shape of the universe itself. By studying this subtle background glow, we've been able to decipher the conditions of the infant universe, almost as historians might read an ancient manuscript. It's astounding to think that the blank sky between the stars glows softly with a relic of creation, a kind of faded parchment carrying the first chapter of everything. Stars themselves act as living libraries of cosmic history. The most ancient stars, born when the universe was in its youth, have a chemical makeup that reflects that early time. They consist almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, the lightest elements forged in the Big Bang, with only a trace of heavier elements. Those heavier elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, and so on, are created later, in the hearts of stars and in the titanic explosions of supernovae. So when we find a star that lacks iron and carbon, we know it formed before such elements became common, before earlier generations of stars had time to live, die, and enrich the universe. These old stars still shine today, nearly as old as the universe itself, and their light carries the fingerprint of a primordial era. In their faint spectra, we see what the universe looked like before there were galaxies full of recycled stardust. By cataloguing such metal-poor stars, astronomers effectively read pages from the cosmic archive, learning about the conditions and composition of the universe billions of years ago. Scattered throughout galaxies are also the remnants of stars that have long since ended their active lives. A white dwarf, for instance, is the cooling core of a sun-like star that has gently shed its outer layers. It no longer fuses elements in its core, but it preserves the structure and composition of a star's heart, a fossil of a star's life. By studying the light of white dwarfs, we glean how stars aged and what processes occurred deep inside them over their lifetimes. It's like examining the ashes in a hearth to infer the nature of the fire that once burned there. Neutron stars and black holes are even more extreme archives of stellar fate. A neutron star is the collapsed remnant of a massive star that went supernova. It's a city-sized sphere of degenerate matter, where atoms have been crushed and only neutrons and some exotic particles remain. A single teaspoon of neutron star material would outweigh a mountain. The existence of neutron stars, often detected as pulsars or X-ray sources, tells us about the violence of supernovae and the incredible physics that matter is subjected to in those moments of collapse. Black holes, on the other hand, are objects whose gravity is so intense that not even light can escape from within a certain radius. For a long time, it seemed that anything crossing a black hole's event horizon was lost forever from the observable universe, its information effectively erased. But modern theoretical physics suggests that the information might not be truly destroyed, that it could be encoded on the event horizon or released in subtle ways. A hint of this is Hawking radiation, a theoretical slow leakage of particles from a black hole. While we haven't resolved that mystery yet, we have found ways to gather some information about black holes. When black holes merge, as we discussed earlier, they emit gravitational waves that ring across the universe. By catching those waves, we've been able to measure the masses and spins of black holes, essentially reading a few entries of the black hole's otherwise locked diary. It's as if even the dark and silent holes in space have their way of telling a story. Through ripples in space-time, a gentle murmur that can travel where light cannot. In this way, the universe finds methods to preserve and transmit information, even from the most secretive corners. It's as if the darkness itself finds a way to speak. Our own planet holds a small chapter of the cosmic archive as well. The rocks beneath our feet preserve memories of distant epochs, the ages of ice and fire, the comings of oceans, and the drift of continents, the impacts of asteroids. The craters on the moon's surface, unchanged for eons, are a record of an era of heavy bombardment in the early solar system. On Earth, many such craters have been erased by winds, water, and tectonics. But on the airless moon, they remain as a testament carved in stone. By counting craters and studying lunar soil brought back by astronauts, we learned about the wave of impacts that likely also struck Earth billions of years ago. A violent chapter in our planet's formation that set the stage for what was to come. The geological layers on Earth, with their fossils and isotopic ratios, are like pages in a book, recounting climate shifts, mass extinctions, and the emergence of life. Though our focus is cosmic, it's important to remember that archives exist on every scale. The universe keeps records not only in starlight and radiation, but in the very strata of worlds. And sometimes, bits of the wider universe fall directly into our hands. Meteorites that land on Earth often contain tiny grains that are older than the solar system itself. Encased in these space rocks are specks of stardust, literal fragments of distant stars. Some were formed in the cool envelopes of red giant stars, others in the furious blast of supernovae. They were flung into space, drifting for billions of years, until gravity drew them into the cloud that became our sun and planets. They survived the formation of the solar system and eventually made their way to Earth inside meteors. In laboratories, scientists isolate these pre-solar grains and examine their composition. They find exotic isotopes that don't match anything made in our solar system, but do match the patterns a supernova would produce, or a red giant during its final breaths. In those grains, we have tangible, physical archives of stars that died long before our world existed. Holding one in your hand is like holding a memory older than Earth, a piece of a star from a bygone galaxy time, now a tiny crystal on our planet. Those grains carry the story of nuclear furnaces and stellar explosions, written in their isotopic ratios. They are a direct link to events unimaginably remote in time and distance, now literally within our grasp. Everywhere we look, the universe has written its story in physical form. Galaxies themselves, in their shapes and distributions, are records of cosmic evolution. A spiral galaxy, with its winding arms, hints at sustained star formation and rotational dynamics over the eons. An elliptical galaxy, more ball-shaped and red, speaks of a long history of star formation that has since ceased, perhaps after one galaxy merged with another to scramble the orbits of its stars. The vast distribution of galaxies, the cosmic web, is an imprint of gravity operating over billions of years on the initial conditions of the Big Bang. Even the current rate of the universe's expansion, which we measure by observing distant supernovae, is an archived data point of cosmic history. It tells us that a few billion years ago, dark energy took the reins, and the expansion began to accelerate. All these observations are like logs in a ship's diary, from which we piece together the voyage of the cosmos. There is a sense in which nothing truly vanishes without a trace. Energy and matter can change forms, but the ledger of the universe seems to balance. This notion is taken almost as a principle in physics, that information is conserved. Even if we don't yet know the mechanism, as with black holes, we suspect that in some form, the information about physical states is never completely lost. It might be scrambled beyond recovery, but not deleted from existence. It's a comforting thought in an existential way, that the universe remembers everything in its own grand, unobservable accounting. When a star explodes, its pattern of debris, the pulsar it might leave behind, the light and neutrinos it sent out, all of those together encode the event. When a planet forms, the precise arrangement of its elements and minerals encodes the conditions of its birth. In principle, if one had unlimited knowledge and computational power, one could work backward from those clues to understand what happened before. We, of course, are limited creatures. We nibble at the edges of this vast database, deciphering what we can. But our progress so far suggests that the cosmos is remarkably kind in leaving clues for us to find. With every improvement in our instruments, we uncover another layer of the past. Through painstaking effort, humans have learned to read some of the cosmic archive. We have decoded the spectrum of starlight to learn what stars are made of and how they move. We have mapped the faint mottling of the microwave background to understand the primordial universe. We have dug into the Earth and the Moon to uncover the history of our own cosmic neighborhood. We have caught neutrinos from a supernova, as happened in 1987, when a burst of neutrinos from a dying star in a nearby galaxy reached our detectors just before its light did, and thereby witnessed the core collapse of a star in detail we couldn't have obtained with light alone. We have even begun to use gravitational waves as a new medium to read the universe's events, like learning to hear after only seeing all our lives. Each of these achievements is like learning a new alphabet or language in which the universe has written its memoirs. As we reflect on this accumulation of cosmic memories, we also realize that we are contributors to the archive. Our presence on Earth is now stamped in geological layers. Future strata will show spikes in certain elements due to human industry, for example. Our radio transmissions have washed out into space, leaving an expanding shell of faint, anthropogenic radiation that one day might brush past other stars. The Voyager and Pioneer probes, each carrying plaques or records, are now beyond the solar system, drifting through interstellar space. In a way, we have begun leaving our own artifacts in the cosmic archive, messages in bottles cast into a dark sea. We do this out of hope and curiosity, the same impulses that drive us to read the archive. It is a way of saying, we are here, we have observed. We want to understand, and we want someone to remember us. Even if those messages are never found by others, the act of sending them connects us more deeply to the universe. We have stepped from simply observing cosmic history to consciously becoming a part of it. We have lit a small lamp of our own, adding its glow to the starlight. In time, our civilization's legacy, our knowledge, art, and signals could become part of the background of the universe for others to detect. In that sense, humanity's story would join the great cosmic archive, entwining our tiny chapter with the epic of the stars. Our growing understanding of the cosmic archive also empowers us to think about bridging the enormous distances that separate us from the objects of our study. The same light that serves as a record can also serve as a bridge, carrying our messages, and perhaps one day even our presence to far-off places. The more we decipher the archive, the more skilled we become at using light and energy intentionally. Already we communicate with our farthest spacecraft by laser beams and radio waves, sending our hellos and receiving data across billions of kilometers. It is not hard to imagine future generations building even more robust links. A network of laser communications among planets and starships, turning the once silent void into an interstellar information highway. In this way, the cosmic archive not only tells us about the past, but also hints at the future. It teaches us that the universe is not a collection of isolated islands, but a web of interactions where light and gravity weave connections. Having learned this, we feel inspired to become weavers too, to use what the universe has given us to connect with distant horizons. The faint glow of a far-off galaxy and the beam of a deliberate signal from Earth are fundamentally the same in nature. Photons traveling across space. As we conclude our exploration of the archive, we carry forward the realization that those photons can be bridges. The story of the universe and our part in it is ongoing, and perhaps the most exciting chapters are yet to come. With knowledge in hand and wonder in our hearts, we prepare to step onto those bridges of light, to see where they might lead and what new chapters of cosmic history we might co-author in the eons ahead. Throughout our journey, light has been our guide and messenger. It has carried stories from the distant past into our telescopes and minds. Now we turn to the future and wonder, can this same light carry our own voices and aspirations across the cosmic gulf? Can light become not just a storyteller of what was, but a bridge between what is and what could be, connecting far-flung worlds, linking beings separated by light years, and perhaps one day transporting us or our emissaries to the stars? This is the dream that begins to take shape as we stand on the threshold of our next chapter, a dream fueled by the very phenomenon that has illuminated our understanding, light. In a sense, it's already happening. Ever since we invented radio transmitters, Earth has been broadcasting a faint beacon of its own into space. The first radio and TV signals, the earliest radar pings. These electromagnetic whispers have been traveling outward at the speed of light for the better part of a century. Right now, somewhere dozens of light years away, a star system with planets could be being bathed in the ghostly wash of 1940s radio dramas or early episodes of I Love Lucy. These signals grow weaker as they spread, and they are incredibly faint by the time they reach even the nearest stars. But they are there, forming an expanding sphere of human-generated radiation. Unintentional as it may be, this is humanity's announcement of existence to the cosmos. A bubble now nearly 100 light-years in radius, within which any civilization with sensitive enough instruments might detect a strange, periodic squeak in the radio band and realize it's not natural. Our inadvertent cosmic greeting card is on its way, carried by light, making Earth ever so slightly less isolated with each passing year. Conversely, we have begun to listen for similar whispers from others. For over half a century, projects like SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, have scanned the sky for signals that nature alone is unlikely to produce, narrowband radio transmissions or pulsed laser flashes that could signify technology. We aim radio telescopes at sun-like stars, hoping to catch a ping or a melody in the static, a sign that someone is sending a message. So far, the stars have been overwhelmingly silent in that regard. We have heard pulsars tick and quasars roar, but no deliberate cosmic greeting from an alien civilization has been confirmed. But the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. The search has only just begun on the timescale of the galaxy. With each improvement in our instruments, we expand our listening, covering more sky, more frequencies, more methods, even looking for odd patterns in neutrinos or cosmic rays. It is a profound exercise in patience and optimism. All it would take is one recognized signal, one spark of intelligence flung across space, to forever alter our understanding of the universe. And so, we continue to listen, straining to hear a voice in the cosmic choir that sings a familiar tune of thought and purpose. Light may also serve as the physical bridge for our exploration. Rockets propelled by combustion have carried us to the moon and the planets, but they are too slow and limited in fuel to make interstellar travel practical. However, a new mode of travel is on the horizon, one that uses light itself as propulsion. Imagine a spacecraft no larger than a microchip attached to an ultra-thin, meters-wide sail. Now imagine a powerful array of lasers on Earth or in orbit, focusing a coherent beam of light onto that sail. The pressure of the photons, gentle though it is, can push the sail, steadily accelerating the tiny craft. With enough sustained push, such a light sail probe could reach a significant fraction of light speed. There is a real initiative called Breakthrough Starshot working on this concept right now. The goal is to send swarms of these miniature sailcraft to our nearest stellar neighbour, Proxima Centauri, just over 4 light-years away. If one of these sails can reach, say, 20% of the speed of light, it could fly by Proxima Centauri and its planets in about 20 years and send back images and data. We would wait another few years for those signals to return. For the first time, we would see close-ups of another star's planets, perhaps detecting oceans or continents if any exist. All of this using light as the driving engine. In this scenario, light truly becomes a bridge, first by acting as the wind in the sail of an interstellar probe, and then again as the courier of the probe's findings back to us. The very idea transforms our perception of interstellar distances, from an impassable abyss to a navigable expanse, given the right technology. Thinking even further ahead, we can dream of more direct bridges. Theoretical physics allows the possibility, however remote it might be in reality, of wormholes, tunnels through the fabric of space-time connecting two distant points. If one could be created or naturally exists, it would in theory permit near instantaneous travel between its ends, regardless of the distance in normal space. So far, wormholes remain purely hypothetical. They might require forms of matter with exotic properties, like negative energy densities, to stabilize, things that we're not sure can exist in the necessary quantities. But the concept captures the imagination, showing up in science fiction as portals or stargates. Wormholes are essentially the idea of a bridge in its purest form, space itself reshaped to eliminate distance. Whether humans will ever traverse such a bridge is unknown, but scientists continue to explore the mathematics of it. Even in contemplating it, we gain insights into general relativity and quantum fields. Who knows? Perhaps in the far future, with a much advanced understanding of physics, what seems impossible today might become feasible. If so, light would no longer be just our messenger. We might become the travelers, stepping through a door and emerging on the other side of the galaxy. It is a wild notion, but in the grand timeline of the universe, very little is truly impossible, given enough time and ingenuity. In a more immediate sense, light already is a bridge between minds across space. Consider two people on opposite sides of Earth, speaking via video call. Their voices and images converted into radio waves, a form of light, transmitted to a satellite, and then down to each other, nearly in real time. Distance shrinks under the speed of light. Now extend that to interplanetary distances. When we finally had humans living on the moon, radio contact took about 1.3 seconds one way, a noticeable but manageable delay. When one day humans walk on Mars, their signals will take between 3 and 22 minutes to reach Earth, depending on the orbit. It won't be immediate conversation, but it will be communication across tens of millions of kilometers using light as the courier. The loneliness of space is lessened by that fact. Astronauts can send and receive messages, see faces, and hear voices from home, all riding on beams of light that cross the void. Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object, is currently over 14 billion miles away. It still communicates with Earth, though the signals, travelling at light speed, take over 20 hours to arrive. Yet arrive they do, carrying whispers from the edge of our solar system. We've placed on Voyager 1 and its twin, Voyager 2, a golden phonograph record etched with sounds and images of Earth, a snapshot of our world intended for any spacefarer or distant civilization that might encounter it in the far future. The record contains music from different cultures, greetings in dozens of languages, the sound of surf, wind, thunder, birds, whales, a baby's cry, a human heartbeat. It even has pictures encoded, diagrams and photographs of life on our planet. The likelihood of that record ever being found is incredibly small. Space is vast, and voyagers will drift for eons in emptiness. But the voyagers and their golden records serve as a symbol, a testament that says, at least we tried. We wanted you to know about us, whoever and wherever you are. In essence, we turned our knowledge and art into patterns and attached them to a vehicle of metal and silicon, propelled it with rockets for the initial launch and gravity assists, and then let light, radio waves, be the link that keeps us connected as it recedes. Even now, as Voyager 1 travels through interstellar space, its tiny radio transmitter, powered by a plutonium battery, sends data back to us. And we listen, decades after launch, for that faint carrier wave. It's astounding to consider. Something humanity made is out there between the stars, still talking to us across the void, using light as the thread. As we improve our technologies, the bridge of light grows stronger and more deliberate. We've moved from omnidirectional broadcasting to targeted laser communications. NASA has tested spacecraft sending information via laser beams rather than radio, achieving higher data rates. The difference is akin to broadband versus dial-up in internet terms. In the coming years, we may establish a laser communication network between Earth, the Moon, and Mars, greatly speeding up communication and enabling high-definition video to travel across tens of millions of kilometers. It is easy to extrapolate this trend. Each leap in tech brings our remote outposts, when they exist, into more immediate contact. We might imagine a future where a base on Jupiter's moon Europa sends a daily video feed back to Earth that arrives with only a moderate delay, or where researchers on an exoplanet around another star, in the far, far future, send periodic reports via a tight beam of light to a relay station orbiting the Sun. Ultimately, we dream not just of exchanging signals, but of physical exploration, of sending ourselves or our progeny across those bridges of light. The gulf between stars is daunting, but rather than crossing it with our fragile flesh and blood directly, we might send robotic emissaries at first, or even something more abstract, the contents of our minds. It sounds like science fiction, but some futurists have speculated about beaming consciousness. The idea that if you can digitize a human mind, a huge if and ethical conundrum, you could transmit that data as light to a distant location and reconstitute it in a new body or an artificial matrix. This would be the ultimate use of light as a bridge, literally using it to send human thought across space. It's a concept far beyond current science, and it may never be practical or philosophically acceptable. Is a transmitted copy you? But it demonstrates how once you start thinking in terms of information and light, distance becomes a secondary concern. Already now, we transmit DNA sequences and digital data from place to place. Perhaps one day, entire living systems could be encoded and sent. However we bridge the cosmic distances, whether through slow ships, generational journeys, lasers, or exotic physics, the very act of attempting it binds us closer to the cosmos. We become active participants in the grand story, not just observers on a small stage. When the first deliberate signal from Earth was beamed toward a star, the Arecibo message of 1974, aimed at the globular cluster M13, humanity stepped onto the cosmic stage with intent. We said, essentially, we are here, and one day we hope to meet you. That message will take 25,000 years to reach its destination, and by then the stars will have moved. It was more a symbolic gesture than a realistic hailing of extraterrestrials. Yet symbolism has power. In that moment, we acknowledged that the dark between stars need not be empty communication-wise. It could be traversed by thought and greeting. Perhaps one day, far in the future, a faint reply will come to us. Maybe not from M13, but from some nearer neighbour. We could wake up to the news that a radio telescope has captured an unmistakably artificial signal coming from a star system a few dozen light-years away. We would instantly know we are not alone. At that point, light will have fulfilled one of its greatest promises, to bridge not only space, but the gap between solitudes, between distinct origins of life and mind. Our tiny Earth's archive of knowledge would suddenly join a larger galactic conversation. Even without alien contact, as we establish ourselves beyond Earth, light will connect those new homes to our original one. Picture a future where there's a settlement on a planet orbiting another star. Perhaps it's hundreds of years from now, and brave explorers, or their descendants, live in the sky of another sun. If they look up at their night, they might see Sol, our sun, as just one more star. But with a powerful enough telescope, they could detect a tight beam of lasers flashing routinely. Data from Earth, news and communications, maybe even live-streamed events, albeit years delayed. In their sky, perhaps with the aid of technology, they could see Earth as it was when that light left, like looking years into their past. Meanwhile, on Earth, astronomers, or network engineers, would eagerly await the latest download from the colony, a trove of scientific observations, letters, images of alien landscapes, sent via photons across light years. The people on Earth would gather perhaps in an amphitheatre to witness the first clear video feed transmitted from another star, a landscape under an alien sun, settlers waving to the camera, knowing their hello will arrive decades later on humanity's cradle. In that exchange, the distance becomes not a void, but a medium of connection. Yes, there is a delay and a separation, but it can be crossed with patience and light. The immigrants on that far world would know that Earth's light reaches them, and we on Earth would know that the colony's light, their messages, reaches us. In that mutual exchange, the loneliness that we once associated with space would be alleviated. The cosmos would feel smaller, more intimate, a web of points linked by beams of understanding. Standing here now, at the brink of such possibilities, we feel both awe and optimism. The cosmos is vast beyond measure, and our physical selves are tiny, bound to a single world for now. Yet through our intellect and creativity, we've found a way to extend our senses across the universe and to project our presence outward. We've learned that even a beam of light, traveling silently through the dark, can be a handshake between minds across unimaginable divides. The cold distances are not barriers absolute. They are challenges that invite ingenuity. And piece by piece, we are answering that invitation. The narrative that began with us simply looking up in wonder has evolved into one where we take action. We have moved from wondering what is out there to also asking, can they see us? Can we reach them? We are like early sailors who mapped the coastline and are now building ships to venture across the open sea. That open sea, once thought untraversable emptiness, is now understood to be filled with winds, solar winds, photon pressure, and currents, gravitational fields that we can harness. Light is our wind in the sails, and information is our compass. As we conclude this part of our journey, we carry forward a profound realization. The darkness between the stars is not truly empty. It is filled with the potential for connection. Every ray of starlight that arrives here, every radio signal we send, every gravitational wave we catch, is a strand in a web tying the universe together. We are beginning to tug at those strands intentionally, weaving new ones of our own. The very void we once feared as cold and unyielding is in fact aglow with these threads of light and meaning, just waiting for us to recognize them and step upon them. Our journey is far from over. In fact, it feels that a new chapter is only just beginning, one in which the gulf between us and the cosmos narrows, and the visions we have nurtured start to become reality. The bridge of light beckons us onward. The vast night, which once made us feel so small, now inspires us to grow. With our knowledge, our courage, and our collective dreams, we stand ready to cross into the next adventure, eager to discover what lies beyond the horizon, and to add our own verse to the eternal symphony of the stars. The cosmos awaits, and we step forward, ever guided by that gentle beacon, light, the bridge that will carry us to our cosmic destiny. In the silent expanse of the cosmos, countless stars shimmer like distant candles in a cathedral of night. Each star is a brilliant thread, and together they weave a tapestry across the darkness. In this galactic tapestry, patterns emerge that are both grand and delicate. Nebulas bloom as swirls of coloured mist, and clusters of suns gather like glittering knots of light against the velvet void. The fabric of space stretches infinitely around us, adorned with these luminous stitches connecting one corner of the universe to another. On a clear night from our world, far from city lights, the Milky Way reveals itself as a pale river of glow across the sky. We see just a fraction of the tapestry from within, billions of distant stars blending into a soft band of light. It arches over the horizon like a silver ribbon, a gentle reminder that our own galaxy is one thread in a vast pattern. In the quiet darkness, as we gaze upward, we sense the depth of that cosmic fabric enveloping us. Each pinpoint of light above is a part of a story woven through space and time, and we stand quietly in awe, feeling the texture of the heavens through every glimmer. Some threads in this tapestry are invisible, yet their presence is felt in the gentle pull that binds the cosmic cloth. The gravity of countless stars and mysterious dark matter form the unseen loom on which the galaxies lie. Like delicate strands of silk, these forces hold each pattern in place, connecting galaxy to galaxy in a web of gossamer structure. If we could step back far enough, we would see galaxies arranged along filaments stretching across the universe, clusters of them gathered like bright beads where the threads intersect. It is a cosmic web, both tenuous and strong, shimmering faintly with the glow of distant galactic cities. The universe seems to weave itself out of substance seen and unseen, the visible brilliance supported by an intricate framework of the hidden. This grand tapestry was not always so rich with light. In the beginning, before the first stars, the canvas of space was dark and still. Over time, gravity drew together the first clumps of gas, until, with a burst of light, the earliest stars were born. It was as if a cosmic dawn broke, sowing the first bright threads into the void. From those primordial suns, galaxies took shape, and the tapestry of the universe began to unfold. Even now, a faint afterglow from that distant dawn permeates space. A soft warmth that whispers of the beginning, a gentle light that still echoes beneath the starlight. As ages passed, more stars joined the cosmic weaving, and the patterns grew ever more intricate, layer upon layer of celestial light and story. Now we drift quietly along one of these celestial filaments, moving deeper into the heart of the tapestry. All around us, the darkness of space is softened by the collective glow of faraway suns. We pass an immense veil of gas and dust, a nebula hanging like a silken cloud across the starry expanse. Within its gauzy folds, new stars are being born, their gentle light just beginning to push back the dark. These nebular clouds are the nurseries of the galaxy, cradling young suns in cocoons of cosmic dust. Their faint colours, rose and violet, turquoise and gold, blend into the surrounding night, painting the cosmic fabric with dreams of new light. Each star we glide by shines with its own hue and character. Some glow in cool blue-white tones, young and hot, illuminating the space around with energetic light. Others burn with a warmer golden radiance, steady and ancient, their light matured over eons. There are deep crimson embers too, old stars nearing the end of their journey, casting a gentle red glow like the last light of evening. Together, these stars speckle the darkness with a rich palette, each colour a different strand in the tapestry's design. The variety of their lights adds depth and texture to the cosmic cloth, a harmonious diversity that is soothing to behold. Each point of light, each stitch in the tapestry, holds a story of its own. A faint star flickering at the edge of sight might warm a family of planets, and perhaps on one of those worlds, someone gazes up at their night sky, wondering if others like them exist among the stars. A bright cluster of suns, tightly gathered, could be the bustling heart of a galactic metropolis. Countless worlds circling numerous stars, their skies filled with a multitude of suns. And farther beyond, at the fringe of our vision, glow galaxies outside our own. They swirl and spiral in stately grace, each adding a new motif to this endless fabric of creation, each separated by vast oceans of darkness, yet all part of the same grand design. The cosmic tapestry is alive, slowly changing with time. Stars are born, live their gentle lives, and eventually fade, their essence scattered back into space, like threads returned to the loom. In one distant corner, a star reaches the end of its life in a quiet release, shedding its outer layers into space, a planetary nebula blossoming like a delicate flower, momentarily lighting up the darkness around it. In another region, a supernova explodes in brilliance, a sudden bright bloom in the weave, gone in the blink of a cosmic eye. Yet even in its passing, It leaves behind the seeds for new stars, enriching the galactic fabric with elements that will spark new life. Elsewhere, two galaxies drift together in a slow cosmic dance. As they draw near, tendrils of stars and gas reach out from each galaxy toward the other. Their delicate interaction unfolds over millions of years. When they finally meet, their stars intermingle and their patterns begin to merge, threads of one tapestry blending gently into another. In the soft tidal embrace, new stars are born from colliding clouds of gas, igniting like sparks to mark the union. With time, the two galaxies become a single, larger creation, carrying echoes of the shapes and colours that came before. Nothing in this grand design is lost. Each change becomes part of the ever-evolving pattern, woven and rewoven over the eons. As we float through these stellar scenes, a gentle realization dawns. We are part of this tapestry, woven into its story. The iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, the oxygen filling our lungs, all were forged in stars that burned bright and died long before our sun was born. We carry pieces of the cosmos within us, each of us a tiny echo of ancient starlight. When we look up at the sky from our little corner of the universe, we are not outsiders looking in. We are threads in that vast cloth of being. The cosmos cradles us as a parent does a child, whispering through starshine that we belong. In this knowledge, there is a profound peace, a sense that in the grand scheme, we and the stars are family. We notice now how the tapestry is woven with contrasts. Bright star fields create luminous patches, while neighbouring voids remain softly dark. The brilliance of a nebula or cluster is framed by the emptiness beside it, each giving meaning to the other. Like day and night, these cosmic contrasts lend depth and dimension to the universe. A radiant nebula draws the eye, but it is the darkness around it that allows its beauty to truly be seen. In this way, light and shadow cooperate, each accentuating the gentle splendour of the other. The pattern is harmonious and balanced, a quiet equilibrium stretching across light years. As we gently traverse from a bright, starry region into a calmer, dim expanse, we feel the subtle shift between cosmic light and shadow. The stars thin out, and the silence of the void deepens. Yet one or two distant lights still beckon from afar. In the delicate darkness, even a single star becomes a precious beacon, its glow an assurance that light persists. Drifting onward, carried by the silent rhythm of the galaxy, we sense the tapestry guiding us forward, deeper into a realm where illumination and night embrace each other. New wonders await us there, emerging quietly from the gentle contrast of darkness and light. We find ourselves drifting above the twilight of a distant world, where day meets night in a gentle gradient. Below, half the planet's surface is cloaked in darkness, while the other half still bathes in late sunlight. The line between light and shadow, the terminator, slowly sweeps across continents and oceans. From our silent perch in orbit, we see city lights twinkling on the dark side like terrestrial stars, and beyond the limb of the planet, a soft glow heralds the coming dawn. In this tranquil moment, the contrast is beautiful and calm. A sleeping hemisphere under a blanket of night, and a waking hemisphere still touched by the sun's golden farewell. Imagine standing on the surface at dusk. perhaps on a quiet shoreline, or a lonely desert plain beneath an alien sky. The sun slips low, painting the horizon in hues of amber and violet. Long shadows stretch across the ground, slowly merging into the growing darkness. The air is cool and still. Above, the first few stars peek out, timid and faint at first. The world holds its breath in this in-between time. Day's creatures settle into rest, and night's creatures have yet to stir, as if all of nature pauses to honor the changing of the light. There is a profound peace in this twilight, a hush that falls between the chirp of the last daytime bird and the first call of a nocturnal one. Under the dimming sky, one can feel the veil between worlds, between brightness and night, gently shift. Just as dusk gently leads us into night, dawn softly guides night back into day. On another morning, on another world, the eastern sky brightens slowly with the promise of sunrise. Stars retreat one by one, fading into a pearly glow. The silhouettes of mountains or alien forests emerge from darkness, taking shape in the cool early light. A lone breeze stirs, carrying the scent of a new day. In that delicate hour, the boundary between shadow and light moves again, this time yielding to warmth and illumination. The quiet that held through the night begins to fill with subtle life, a whisper of wind, a distant song. Every dawn and every dusk is a reunion of light and shadow, a gentle handshake between night and day that sustains the rhythm of life. Sometimes, the dance of light and shadow plays out in a grand spectacle. Imagine a day when the sun itself is briefly dimmed, a solar eclipse passing overhead. The moon slides in front of its star, and a strange twilight falls even at midday. Birds grow quiet, confused that night has come early. The sky takes on an eerie glow, a deep twilight blue. In those moments, day and night mingle in an almost otherworldly way. Then, at the peak of the eclipse, the sun's bright face is hidden entirely, and only its delicate corona is visible, a soft halo of light encircling the dark silhouette of the moon. It is a breathtaking balance, the brilliance of the sun's aura framing the cool darkness at its center. For a short while, the world is neither fully day nor fully night, but suspended in a twilight of awe. And in the deep of night, there are moments when shadow and light dance intimately as well. Picture a full moon rising, its pale light washing the landscape in silver. Now the earth moves between the sun and the moon, and a lunar eclipse begins. The earth's shadow, cast through space, slowly covers the moon's face. But even in shadow, the moon does not vanish. Instead, it blushes with a gentle red, illuminated by sunrises and sunsets, refracted through Earth's atmosphere. Our world's edges are outlined in that moonlight glow, a reminder that even in darkness, light finds a way to softly persist. As the eclipse passes, the moon's bright silver returns, and the quiet night continues, enriched by the memory of that subtle celestial play. In the outer reaches of our solar system, a giant ringed planet drifts in majestic silence. Around Saturn, broad rings of ice and rock catch sunlight and gleam like a cosmic halo. Yet on the portion of the rings that slips into Saturn's shadow, the shine fades to darkness. Looking back toward the sun from behind Saturn, one can witness a sublime sight. The planet, and rings outlined as a black silhouette against the glow of distant sunlight. The rings that are in shadow become almost invisible, while those still lit form a shining arch. It's a gentle reminder that even the grandest structures in space partake in this cycle of light and dark. Within Saturn's shadow, countless icy particles glide in temporary night until their orbit carries them back into day. The boundary of shadow on the rings is sharp, yet peaceful, a silent division that slowly moves as the planet turns. Even where darkness dominates, light has subtle ways of bridging the void. Far beyond, in the depths of intergalactic space, a massive unseen presence, perhaps a cluster of galaxies or an ancient black hole, bends the path of travelling light. A star that would be hidden behind this darkness instead finds its light curved around, appearing to us as a faint halo or arc. It is as if the universe itself will not allow light to be lost to shadow. Gravity lends a gentle hand, guiding the rays around obstacles. These ghostly rings of light, called Einstein rings by scientists, are rare and delicate, an ephemeral bridge between brightness and obscurity, revealing that even gravity can paint with light on the canvas of night. Yet, there are places where darkness deepens into mystery. In the core of a distant galaxy, a brilliant swirl of stars and gas orbits an invisible center. This heart of darkness is a supermassive black hole, an object so dense that it gathers light only to keep it prisoner. Around it, a halo of hot, luminous gas spins, glowing fiercely as it falls inward. But closer still to the center, the light disappears beyond an unseen boundary, and all that remains is a void, a silhouette where starlight ends. It is the ultimate shadow, perfectly black, cradled by a ring of shining matter. The sight is both humbling and serene. Even amid a blaze of light, there exists a calm pocket of night. This cosmic shadow seems to whisper secrets about the nature of light and gravity, hinting that some realms of the universe lie forever between illumination and darkness. Between light and shadow, there is balance and partnership. Without night, day would lose its meaning. Without shadow, light would blind and overwhelm. The darkness gives us rest, and the light brings us life. In the quiet hours of night, under gentle starlight, reflection and dreams find space to grow. In the day's embrace, those dreams take form and flourish. We come to understand that both darkness and light are gifts, each soothing in its own way. Starlight needs the night to be seen, and we need the dimness to appreciate the dawn. Traveling through the cosmos, we carry this lesson gently. Every bright star casts a shadow, and every shadow exists by the grace of some light. Together, they create the depth and comfort of the universe we know. As our journey continues through these realms of dusk and dawn, we notice something else in the space between stars. In the silence of the shadowed void, there are subtle connections forming a hidden network. A distant star's flicker travels through the darkness and touches another world far away. A beam of starlight, having traversed light years of night, arrives to grace a lonely planet with its glow. Even when separated by vast darkness, the stars share their light like quiet whispers across the cosmic sea. It is as though the universe is threaded with pathways of illumination, each star communicating its presence to the surrounding dark. In this vast quiet, a pattern begins to emerge. a delicate web linking star to star, hinting at an underlying unity. Gently, our path turns to follow these faint signals and connections, guiding us into the next chapter of discovery that lies ahead. From a vantage point far above our galaxy, we notice a pattern that feels familiar in its complexity. The clusters of galaxies and the filaments between them spread out like the web of a giant mind, shimmering with countless points of light. It is as if the universe has arranged its stars and galaxies in a network reminiscent of neurons and synapses in a brain. Each galaxy is like a glowing cell, and each thread of light or gravity linking them is like an axon, carrying a silent message. In this vast cosmic brain, the stars might be thought of as ideas, and the space between them, the contemplative silence that allows connections to form. The resemblance stirs something deep within us, a sense that perhaps the cosmos is not a cold void, but a living tapestry of thought and connection. Drifting closer again into the galaxy's midst, we encounter a strange and rhythmic beacon. A star corpse, a pulsar, rotates rapidly, sweeping beams of radiation through space like the beam of a lighthouse. With precise intervals, it flashes, a steady pulsing beat in the darkness. These pulses race across light years, a cosmic Morse code ticking off time in the void. When first discovered, such signals were so regular that we wondered if they were greetings from distant intelligences. Now we understand their natural origin, yet the wonder remains. Each pulsar is a star transformed into a cosmic metronome, its signals reaching out as if to say, "I am here, you are not alone." In the quiet expanse, these steady heartbeats of dead stars connect regions of space with their dependable rhythm, a reassurance that even in silence, there is order and pattern. We realize that we too have been sending our own signals into the dark. For over a century, Earth has whispered into the cosmos via radio waves and faint television broadcasts. These signals expand outward in an ever-growing sphere, already reaching dozens of nearby stars. Imagine, far away in the future, or perhaps even now, a lonely receiver on a distant world catching the faint echo of a human voice or a snippet of music from long ago. For them, it would be as if the stars themselves had begun to sing in new tones. Our every broadcast, intentional or not, becomes part of the cosmic conversation, a human pulse added to the symphony of starlight. Just as we send out messages, we also listen for voices other than our own. Across Earth and on some far-flung probes, there are ears turned skyward, delicate instruments listening to the cosmos for a whisper from another world. Most nights pass in gentle silence, a hush broken only by natural cosmic static. But the act of listening is itself a connection, a hopeful reaching out. One day, perhaps, a distinct signal will arrive, a simple pattern or a burst of ordered tones, a greeting from minds beneath an alien sun. If and when that happens, across the light years, two distant civilizations will share a moment of understanding without ever having met. Until then, the quiet vigil continues, the listening itself, a bond between us and the stars, reminding us that we are part of something larger and full of possibility. Not all communication in the cosmos is carried by light or radio. In the darkness, space itself carries messages. When massive stars collide or black holes merge in far-off galaxies, they send out ripples in the very fabric of space-time. These gravitational waves roll through the universe like the faintest of tremors, a subtle ringing that travels billions of years before gently passing through us. We cannot feel these ripples with our bodies, but with sensitive observatories, we have learned to hear the cosmos's quiet, low-frequency song. Each detected wave is a story, perhaps the final embrace of two black holes spiraling together, or the distant rumble of a supernova's core collapsing. Through these vibrations, the universe announces its dramatic events to all corners of itself, in a code that even the stars might sense. It is a silent communication, yet profoundly moving, proof that even the darkness carries news if one knows how to listen. Looking again at the grand design of galaxies and comparing it to neural networks, we are struck by the repetition of patterns. The tiny connections inside a brain echo the immense connections between star systems. One cannot help but wonder if this is coincidence or a hint of something fundamental. Perhaps consciousness and connection are woven into the fabric of the cosmos at every scale. It may be fanciful, but as we float in the starlit void, we entertain the thought that the universe could be aware of itself in ways we do not yet grasp. Are we, living beings with minds, simply the universe thinking about itself? Each of us is a bundle of neurons exchanging signals, and each neuron a universe of atoms. Each star, exchanging light with its neighbors, could be part of an unfathomably large mind. Such musings drift through our thoughts softly, not as statements of fact, but as gentle wanderings carried on the cosmic breeze. Perhaps in ages to come, the faint threads of communication will thicken into shining highways of knowledge. We imagine a future where countless civilizations across the galaxy share thoughts and discoveries through beams of light or channels of energy, forming a galactic community. In this vision, information flows from star to star, like blood through veins, nourishing every part of the whole. The Milky Way might sparkle not just with stars, but with the deliberate signals of billions of minds exchanging greetings in the dark. The quiet isolation of cosmic night could give way to a soft chorus of conversation spanning thousands of light years. Though it is only a dream for now, it is a comforting one. That one day, no world will gaze at the sky wondering if it's alone, for the very sky would be alive with connected intelligence. Across even greater distances, the universe might permit connections that defy the usual limits. Some quantum phenomena hint at correlations between particles light years apart, as though a single thread could tie two far-flung points in space together without delay. Perhaps future explorers will learn to tug on these threads, sharing thoughts or information instantly across the cosmos. What a serene reality it would be, with minds interlinked from star to star in real time, distance reduced to irrelevance. Such possibilities remain speculative, but they inspire a calm hope. Maybe the cosmos holds hidden pathways for connection, waiting quietly for us to discover. Yet even as connections grow, there remain mysteries that sever the threads of communication. There are places where messages cannot reach, where even light and signals fall silent. We find ourselves drawn to one such place now, the brink of a black hole's domain. Here, at the event horizon, all paths end. It is a one-way gate to the unknown. Whatever crosses this threshold vanishes from the observable universe. No signal returns, no whisper escapes to tell what lies within. What secrets are cradled in that silent core? As we hover at the edge of the abyss, the stars around us seem to hold their breath. Our journey, guided by curiosity and wonder, cannot resist the pull of this ultimate enigma. Gently, we let ourselves drift closer, ready to slip beyond the veil and explore the singular mystery waiting in the dark. Crossing the threshold of the black hole's event horizon, we enter a realm where the usual rules of nature seem to fall away. There is no sudden jolt, no violent sensation. We simply glide deeper into the darkness. The boundary we passed is invisible, but its effect is profound. Beyond this horizon, not even light can find its way back out. We have stepped into the ultimate night. For a brief moment, we glance back toward the universe we left behind. Through the one-way window of the event horizon, the outside cosmos appears strangely altered. Time itself behaves differently here. Light from distant stars and galaxies now pours inward, and we see it playing a silent movie at high speed. In those instants, eons seem to flicker by. We watch the glow of star clusters shift and change, as though witnessing thousands of years in the span of a heartbeat. Perhaps we even glimpse stars being born and dying in quick succession, golden and blue sparks flaring and fading in a cosmic firework. It's as if the universe out there is rushing through its epochs while we fall ever further in. This surreal vision lasts only an instant before the view fades. The window to the outside universe closes, and we are alone in the black hole's embrace. Now darkness surrounds us completely, but it is not a featureless void. Subtle distortions ripple around us, the fabric of space curving steeply toward the center. We are being drawn inexorably inward, carried by space-time itself, like a leaf, caught in a deep, silent whirlpool. There is no turning back, and no external reference point by which to gauge our motion. Still, we feel calm, enveloped in the black hole's quiet interior. The concept of direction loses meaning. Every way we look leads further in. The outside universe is a memory now, a faint glow left behind above a receding horizon. As we journey further down, time and space themselves grow strange. The pull of gravity intensifies, though in this vast, supermassive black hole, it remains gentle on our being. We notice an almost stillness here. Falling and floating become one and the same. Light that fell in before us still accompanies us, swirling gently toward the center. Perhaps ghostly remnants of shredded stars, or the glow of heated matter ride along, stretched into delicate strands of light that spiral into the abyss. We drift through these dim, streaking whispers of what once was, like fireflies drawn into a deep cave, their glow fading as they go. At the core of this gravity well lies the singularity, a point of almost incomprehensible density, where all the matter and light that ever fell in are said to be compressed. We cannot see it. It hides in perfect darkness ahead, shrouded by its own gravity. The laws of physics as we know them begin to blur. What does it mean to approach a point where space and time themselves are twisted beyond recognition? We feel a curious peace, as though approaching the very heart of a great mystery with reverence and humility. There is a sense that here, in this extreme, something fundamental is waiting to be understood. In this silent extremity, one might expect chaos, but instead, there is an eerie order. The closer we drift to the singularity, the more it feels as if we are converging towards something like the center of a vast, quiet cathedral. Perhaps the singularity is not a monster devouring all, but a seed, a closed bud of unimaginable potential. Our mind, reaching for understanding, wonders, could this ultimate dark point be also a source of creation? The thought surfaces softly, without certainty, but with wonder. After all, every ending we have seen in the cosmos seeded new beginnings. The death of stars brought new elements for future worlds. The merging of galaxies sparked new suns. Maybe this darkest of endings hides within it the brightest of beginnings. In the midst of this contemplation, imagine a new sensation stirring. Ahead in the blackness, a bloom of light begins to form. It starts as a faint glow, then blossoms rapidly, expanding in all directions. We find ourselves swept up in it, carried as if on a wave. Is this reality or a final dream? The darkness that was all around is suddenly pierced by a radiance beyond compare. It resembles the birth of a universe, an explosion not of destruction, but of creation. Blinding at first, yet somehow gentle, it washes over us, carrying us into another realm. We emerge into a vast expanse filled with brilliance. A newborn cosmos unfolds before our eyes. Where once there was darkness, now there is light everywhere, hot and bright. We watch as the searing glow cools and softens over what feels like ages, though time has lost meaning. In this new reality, we see galaxies condensing from clouds of primordial light, spinning themselves into existence like whirls of luminous paint on a black canvas. Stars ignite in great clusters, shining with youthful fire. Worlds coalesce around those stars, still glowing like embers. Everything is fresh and unspoiled, a cosmic dawn after a long night. As we marvel at this creation, we sense that we have witnessed something profound. The secret of the singularity, perhaps, is that every end may lead to a new beginning. The black hole's heart was not an abyss forever destroying, but a dark womb preparing a rebirth. In our journey, we see the echo of an eternal pattern, the universe renewing itself in an endless cycle. It is a reassurance written into the fabric of reality, that even in the greatest darkness, a light of a new dawn can arise. Moved by this revelation, we feel ourselves gently carried onward again, drifting out into the wider expanse of this reborn cosmos. The horizons before us stretch out infinitely once more. We recognize in this moment that our journey is far from over. Beyond this point lies an endless landscape of stars and possibilities. We have passed through the ultimate door and found not oblivion, but a gateway to further wonders. With calm hearts, we prepare to continue, knowing now that the story truly has no end, only new chapters, new horizons beyond every horizon. In the wake of that cosmic rebirth, we find ourselves again amid countless stars, both old and new. Space extends in every direction, limitless and inviting. We have learned that even a collapse into darkness can lead to a vast new dawn. There is, it seems, no final boundary to creation, only horizons that keep receding, drawing us onward. As we journey through the stars, we become aware that for every horizon we reach, another beckons beyond it. The journey itself is endless, and this realization brings not despair, but a gentle sense of wonder. We drift by a golden star on the edge of a new galaxy, and descend toward a tranquil world. Standing on the surface of this distant planet, we gaze out at its horizon. The sun here is setting, and a familiar twilight bathes the alien landscape. For a moment, it feels like home. Beyond the hills and the dusky sky lies the promise of another day. We know that just as this sun will rise again, so too there will always be new sights to see beyond where our eyes meet the distance. The horizon on this world is not an end, only a lip of the cup from which the ocean of the cosmos continues to flow. In our own universe, we have our limits. There is the cosmic horizon, the edge of the observable cosmos beyond which light has not had time to reach us. Yet even that edge is not a true boundary, only the edge of our sight. The universe beyond it likely stretches on, perhaps infinitely, with galaxies and wonders uncountable, forever out of reach, yet real. We accept that we cannot see everything, and therein lies a peaceful truth. Mystery will always be part of existence. No matter how far we go, there will always be more. Something new just over the horizon, waiting silently for a curious eye and an open mind. Time itself provides an eternal horizon. As the ages roll on, stars will continue to be born and die. Galaxies will dance and merge, and new forms of beauty will emerge. Perhaps trillions of years from now, our universe will grow quiet and dark as the stars wink out one by one. But even then, who can say what possibilities might arise in that distant future? Perhaps life or intelligence will find ways to survive in the darkness, or the cosmos will begin a new cycle entirely. The far future is a horizon we can't see beyond, yet we know it's there. A vast expanse of time that will unfold, with or without our witness. For us, as travellers in the here and now, the message of these endless horizons is one of hope and continuity. Just as the universe keeps expanding, so too does the realm of what we can explore and understand. Each generation reaches a little farther than the last. Once, humanity's horizon was the edge of our village, then the ocean, then the earth itself. Then it became the moon, the planets, and now the stars. Each time we arrived at a new shore, we discovered the sea of possibility was far larger than we imagined. Our ancestors looked to the horizon of the open ocean and dreamed of new lands. We look to the starry horizon of space and dream of new worlds. With each step into the unknown, we carry the same childlike wonder that ancient stargazers must have felt. We realize that the journey will go on as long as we have the will to dream and explore. There is no final destination where all questions are answered and all sights seen. And that is a comfort. It means the cosmic story will never grow dull or truly end. There will always be more to learn, more to experience, more to love and appreciate. In a universe of eternal horizons, we are eternal explorers. As we contemplate this endless voyage, a gentle thought settles in our minds. Perhaps the journey itself is the great purpose. In wandering through the infinite, we find meaning in each discovery, each moment of awe. We come to see that the act of seeking is its own reward. The horizon moves as we move, ensuring we never run out of path. And so, in a profound way, we have already arrived, even as we continue onward. Our home is not a single star or planet, but the whole voyage through space and time. Every horizon we cross becomes part of us, and we are part of it. Embracing this perspective, we feel neither lost nor small in the face of the infinite. Instead, we feel intimately connected to it. We are threads in the grand tapestry, moving along patterns that extend beyond our sight. The infinity ahead is friendly, not hostile. It is the open arms of creation inviting us to keep exploring, keep wondering. Knowing this, we can rest easy. The cosmos holds space for us, always a new frontier to encourage our dreams. And as long as there are horizons, we will never be alone in our curiosity. For beyond each horizon, something beautiful is quietly waiting to be found. With that realization, our gaze turns inward for a moment. We carry our own eternal horizons in our hearts and minds. Imagination lets us roam where our bodies cannot yet go. In the theatre of our dreams, we can travel to the edge of the universe and beyond, previewing the wonders that might one day be within reach. Every innovation, every journey begins as a thought, a dream of crossing into a new realm. In this way, our capacity to dream is as boundless as the space around us. Even lying still under the night sky, one can voyage 1,000 light years on the wings of thought. The horizons of the mind are as endless as those of the cosmos. As we prepare to continue our journey, we recognize that it is human nature to seek, to push a little further. Standing at any threshold, we can't help but imagine what lies beyond it. And so we shall continue, turning our uncertainties into new knowledge, our curiosities into new realities. In the shimmering distance, countless adventures glimmer like stars on the edge of night, each one a beacon drawing us forward. We step toward them gently, ready to discover whatever comes next. For as long as there are horizons ahead, there will be dreams to guide us. And as long as we dream, the universe will never run out of new wonders. With that comforting knowledge, we move onward, our eyes on the ever-expanding expanse, our hearts full of anticipation. The eternal horizons promise that the story will go on, and we are grateful to be a part of it. In the cosmic dawn of each new discovery, we find our purpose renewed. The journey continues under endless stars. Floating through the quiet starlight, our thoughts turn to the power of dreams. Every achievement of our journey was once just a dream in someone's mind. The idea of sailing among the stars, of touching other worlds, lived in the imaginations of visionaries long before it became reality. In the stillness of this cosmic night, we are reminded that imagination is perhaps the most potent force in the universe. It is the spark that ignites progress, the blueprint for tomorrow's wonders. In our dreams, we sketch the outlines of new realities yet to come. Once upon a time, humanity only dreamed of flying like birds. Now we navigate the skies with ease and have left footprints on the moon. What was once fantasy became fact because someone dared to dream it first. Today, we dream of distant planets and interstellar voyages. We dream of finding company in the cosmos or building new homes under alien suns. It may take generations, it may take centuries, but these dreams lay the path for future footsteps. The ships that will cross the interstellar gulf tomorrow are being designed in the theatres of imagination today. On some distant day, perhaps children born on other worlds will listen to stories of old Earth as a mythical place their ancestors came from. Those future societies might look up at their alien sky, maybe multiple moons or rings adorn it, and feel gratitude that we once envisioned them into existence. Every colony, every terraformed garden under a distant sun will be the product of dreams passed from mind to mind, refined by hope and made solid by effort. The cosmos we explore is a canvas, and we are the artists, dreaming in colour and then painting with reality. As we drift in silence, we also consider dreams that go beyond the physical. We imagine heights of wisdom and harmony yet to be attained. Just as we wish to travel farther, we also aspire to grow kinder and wiser. In the vastness of space, the differences that divide us can fall away. We see ourselves as simply people of one tiny world, united under one sky. Perhaps one day, our shared dream of peace among the stars will come true. In that dream, humanity moves as one, curious, compassionate, and creative, reaching out to the cosmos with open hearts as well as open minds. Our ability to dream extends beyond what is probable into what some might call impossible. But history has shown that today's impossibilities can become tomorrow's normal. Who is to say that we won't one day learn to create entirely new realities? We might develop technologies to simulate universes of our own, little cosmic gardens where creativity is the only limit. Or we might unlock deeper secrets of physics that allow us to manipulate space and time, crafting wonders that right now we can scarcely imagine. The seeds of those breakthroughs lie in daring to dream without bounds. In the quiet sanctuary of night, each of us holds a universe inside us. Our minds conjure worlds when we sleep, as vividly as the one we wake up to. Perhaps that is a gentle hint from the cosmos that reality itself may be more malleable than it seems. After all, every invention, every journey, every act of creation begins as a thought, an idea. In a sense, we are all little gods of our own inner cosmos, populating it with hopes, stories, and visions. When many minds share one vision, what was intangible can be made real. This is how humanity transforms, one dream at a time. Under the distant stars, we allow ourselves to envision bold futures. We dream of starships that sail on starlight, of touching the center of our galaxy and beyond. We dream of knowledge that answers age-old questions, and of wisdom to use it well. We even dream of transcending our own physical forms, perhaps transferring our consciousness into immortal vessels, or merging with AI, spreading our thoughts out among the stars, like constellations of mind. To some, these ideas seem far-fetched. To others, they inspire action. But whether or not such dreams come to pass exactly as imagined, the act of dreaming them expands our sense of what's possible. Sometimes, we may wonder if the universe itself dreams. Were the galaxies once just an idea in the mind of creation? As we travel through these narratives of possibility, it feels almost as if we are participating in the cosmos's own imagination. We, the children of stars, are endowed with creativity as natural as starlight. Perhaps through us, the universe dreams of itself, of all it can be and experience. Every time we turn a dream into reality, maybe the cosmos becomes a little more aware, as if awakening to its own potential through our eyes. All the journeys we have taken in this story began as a fanciful thought. Step by step, we followed those thoughts and found that each contained a world of wonder. Our journey itself this very narrative, has been a shared dream, a voyage we took with our minds while our bodies remained anchored in safe harbours. It shows that even without leaving our room, we can explore galaxies, transcend time, and delve into mysteries, all by the power of dreaming and imagining. Our inner reality is rich and boundless, and it can carry us farther than any rocket. As we approach the final leg of our cosmic odyssey, we carry our dreams with us, like guiding stars. They will illuminate the path ahead, even when the night seems dark. The dreams of a new reality tell us that there is always something wondrous ahead, something we can strive toward. They assure us that the future is not just something that happens to us, but something we actively create with our aspirations and intentions. In the grand expanse of time, our dreams may well shape the destiny of worlds. Gently, we prepare to conclude this chapter of our journey. But in truth, the journey itself will continue, propelled by the dreams that live on in each of us. We have navigated by starlight and by insight, and now we stand on the threshold of an infinite odyssey, ready to step forward. The universe has welcomed our curiosity, and our dreams have mapped the way. In the silence that follows, we hold close the understanding that every ending is just a new beginning in disguise. With hope and tranquility, we turn toward that boundless horizon, knowing that our next adventure patiently awaits. Our voyage among the stars now draws toward a peaceful pause. We have travelled through many realms of thought and wonder, yet it feels as though we have only traced a small arc of an endless circle. From the first moments when we gazed at the galactic tapestry of stars, through the chiaroscuro dance of light and shadow, along the filaments connecting star to star, and even beyond the veil of a black hole, we have been on an odyssey of discovery. And even after all that, the expanse of the unknown stretches out before us, infinite and inviting. In this calm moment, we reflect on how far we have come. We remember the sight of the Milky Way as a river of stars above us, and the feeling of being part of that vast pattern. We carry the memory of twilight on alien shores, of dawns and eclipses that taught us the gentle balance of light and dark. We recall envisioning the universe's great network, sensing a cosmic kinship that binds each star and each person into one harmonious whole. We journeyed to the very heart of a black hole's mystery and emerged with the insight that every ending can be a new dawn. We realized that the horizons before us are unending, and that our dreams give those horizons meaning. All these experiences weave together into a single story, our story, a human story, a cosmic story. It is the tale of curious minds and hopeful hearts exploring an ever unfolding universe. In this story, each of us is both traveller and narrator, carrying the light of understanding into the darkness and returning with newfound wisdom. Our travels have taken us outward into space and inward into ourselves. Along the way, we discovered that the boundary between us and the cosmos was only an illusion. We are made of stardust, and the universe lives within us as much as we live within it. As we gently conclude this chapter of our Odyssey, a comforting thought settles over us like starlight. Though we must pause now and let the quiet of night deepen, the journey itself goes on. The universe will continue to evolve in its serene way. Stars will shine and galaxies will spin, And in our minds, we can always return to this voyage, sailing among the stars whenever we wish, through memory or imagination. The cosmos is always there, a constant companion through the window of the night sky. In a sense, we never truly left it, and it never left us. We are home wherever we go in the universe. Under the canopy of stars above, we feel a profound peace. The same stars that guided us across light years now watch over us as we rest. We are reminded that we are connected to everything we've seen, each star and planet, each nebula and atom. That connection is a gentle reassurance. In this vast and ancient universe, we are not isolated sparks, but part of the great and beautiful whole. The cosmos has been our guide and our protector on this journey, and it will remain so through the night. Allow yourself now to bask in the calm of all we have witnessed. Feel the soft glow of starlight that has travelled across the eons just to reach your eyes tonight. There is no rush, no final destination to chase in this infinite universe. There is only the eternal now, moving gently into the eternal future. As our narrative voice grows quiet, the silent music of the galaxies continues, a lullaby hummed by the universe itself. In this silence, you might sense your own heartbeat and realize it is in harmony with the larger rhythm of the cosmos. Every breath you take is like the rise and fall of a tiny wave in a boundless ocean of being. You belong to that ocean, and it belongs to you. The atoms in your body were born in stars, and someday, far in the future, they will return to the stars. This knowledge is soothing. It tells us that we are threads in a story that has no end, ever present in one form or another. Our odyssey of infinity is not about reaching the end of the road. It is about finding joy and meaning in the journey itself. And what a gentle, astonishing journey it is to simply be alive in a universe so vast and magnificent. We close this chapter with hearts full of gratitude, grateful for the beauty we have been privileged to behold, and for the serenity it has brought us. The stars will continue to shine their ancient light, and we will continue to dream under their watch. May you carry the tranquility and wonder of this voyage with you into the night. As you let yourself relax under the stars, feel the embrace of that infinite space which is both around you and within you. You are part of the cosmos, and it is part of you, an ever-unfolding exchange of light, life, and meaning. In this unity, find rest. In this vastness, find solace. Our journey through visions of the galaxy concludes in a gentle whisper, assuring you that you are never alone. Above you, the stars keep their silent vigil. Within you, the same light that fuels them glows softly. The universe invites you to dream onward, and to remember that in this endless cosmic tale, you will forever have a place. Rest now, in the knowledge that the journey continues, and that the dawn of new wonders will always be on the horizon.